Three, two, one. All right, welcome to Mediocre Brothers. I'm Jordan, your host, and the team Corey, Edwin, and Udon. Today we'll be discussing on movie-themed video games. But before we do, let's go around with what we did for the week. Corey, how about yourself?
I played, is it Ender Lilies or I feel like it's Ender Lilies.
I'm like 90% sure that's what it is.
Yeah, because that game was free, so I downloaded it on a PlayStation 5 or whatever. And I gave that a spin. It's pretty good. I love the art style for it, and the controls are pretty sweet. Played a lot of movie games preparing for this episode, so that's kind of nice. And also a fucking headache. But outside of that, I think I gave Fortnite like one round because I haven't played it in so long, so I got like 20 stars or whatever from just like one mission. And yeah, started Wild Arms 2, and pretty much it. Edwin, you want to take it from here?
I haven't done all that much. I guess I have. I'm just like losing track of time. But it's like I found and immediately searched for this mod for Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, God.
It was a hell of a process to try and get it to work.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You guys love what I was doing. It's just dying a fucking ton.
It's so good.
It's just like, wow, it looks like a lot of fun.
Ice and Fire Man beats you every time.
It was like, I don't understand. I was like, yeah, that's critical. It was goddamn. I was like, I don't have like any of the abilities that Sora does, where you can withstand a hit from like a combo or just a massive ass hit. But I was getting one shot the entire time by like 2 nights is what they were watching me do. But it's like the whole game is like Sora. You don't play as Sora, Donald, or Goofy. You just play as Roxas and like a lore based Roxas. So it's pretty much going through the whole game as just Roxas, which is a little weird because, I mean, the mod is still, like, being finished. So it's like all the cutscenes are cut out because none of it has to do with Roxas anymore. Minus, like, beginning and end. So it's just pretty funny. But considering that, like, the mod is still, like, being worked on, like, even in the Lion King world, as when you're Sora, Donald, and Goofy, you're animals, but when you're Roxas, you're just a human running around with a bunch of lions. This is pretty funny to see.
I am one with my people. I was always a lion on the inside.
Well, I mean, there's recording of that, so you'll see it in an episode. Not sure which one, but it was cool. It was like you'll just see me dying a bunch there too, but it was still fun to play. But besides that, not only was I getting my ass kicked in that mod, but I was also getting my ass kicked in Moonlighter because I did finish the game, but then there's like DLC post game, and then everything's just doing like 200 damage to me, so I die in like 3 to 5 hits very quickly. So I was just getting super pissed. So I put that down and I just walked away. And then like the last thing that I played was with you guys, and it was Deep Rock Galactic. And that was really fun. Even though we failed our very first mission.
Listen, I vastly overestimated my ability to carry all of you, and I'm not used to not having all my weapons and mods. So I was like, we'll be fine on hard mode, because you get more experience if you play on harder difficulties, so as to help you guys level up faster. But we were doing fine, and then extraction happened, and then the fucking pill bugs just trapped us in a corner and just murdered everybody. And I'm like, okay, never mind, we're going back down to normal.
As it was intended.
What did you do, Udon, this week?
Quite frankly, not a whole lot. I've been gaming a lot the last few weeks, but this week's just been busy work-wise, and I haven't really done a whole lot of anything, really. I tried playing... I mean, I played Deep Rock with you guys last night, and that was fun. I'm glad everyone finally got a chance to play that. And I tried playing Lord of the Rings 2 Towers for this episode today, but after about 30 minutes, I just couldn't take it anymore. And I just put that down. I'll probably talk about that a bit more later. But I wanted to have a brief tangent because there was a controversy in the gacha community concerning Fate Grand Order, and I thought it was a great example of a video game company that actually responds to its players and criticisms when they make really greedy, shitty decisions. I'm going to try and tell this in a way where we can keep up to, like, why this was a big deal. Okay, so in Fate Grand Order, and like in most gacha games, you roll the gacha for characters, right? And additional copies of the same character that you get by doing the gacha, you power them up in some way, shape, or form. And in Fate Grand Order, you can get up to 5 extra copies to power your servant's super move, basically the Noble Phantasm, 5 times, which just makes that move better, do more damage, or stronger passive effects, or what have you. And then any copies past 5 copies were useless, and they just gave you this little thing, a little extra item where if you collected enough of them, you can just get a free 5-star of whatever your choice. So later on in the game's lifespan, they introduce this system called servant coins. So it was a new currency that you got by summoning the servant or by getting their bond to level up, which just means using them in combat a lot. And these coins were used to buy extra levels, so you could take your character past their level cap, and then also purchase. And when I say purchase, this is in-game currency, not your actual money. You use it to unlock new passive skills for the characters. And so each extra copy of that character would give you some of these coins, and each bond level will give you some of these coins. And you need coins to level up and get these new passive skills. So with all that in place, and how the math worked out, you needed NP6, which is shorthand for Noble Phantasm 6, which means 6 copies of one character to perfect that character, to get enough coins. It means the math worked out to where if you got their bond level to max and you rolled 6 copies of them, you would have enough coins to get them all the way to level 120, which was the max, and unlock those 3 passive skills, right? Which, yes, that does mean that last copy is technically useless outside of getting the coins to unlock those powers, which is, people were willing to bite on it. Me personally have only done that with my favorite character, and I lucked the fuck out anyways and rolled my extra copy on a GSSR, which is a guaranteed SSR, which is a banner where if you just pay like $10, you're guaranteed to get a 5-star. That usually happens at New Year's and anniversary events, and I just lucked the fuck out and got my favorite character and got that extra 6th copy. So my Ishtar, my version of Rin Tosaka from Fate Stay Night, who, number 1 waifu for me, she's perfect. I have her at max level. All of her skills are unlocked. Like she's like my servant Ishtar can't get any more powerful. And then, as of right now, the Japanese server is having their 9th anniversary, and the Japanese server of Fate Grand Order is 2 years ahead of us in development, basically, which means that there's 2 years of content, and everywhere else globally is behind on that. So we actually have the power of foresight, essentially, to see when banners are coming up, so we know when to save our money for and our like free currency to get certain servants that we want. But the anniversary for a gacha game is usually a really big deal. That's usually like their best event where they're really generous, give out a lot of free currency and other stuff. And for Fate Grand Order, it's usually a time to introduce new gameplay mechanics. So for this 9th anniversary, the newest one, they introduced 2 more of those passive skills, right? So there's 2 more passive skills for a total of 5. Now, in the past, if you had rolled more copies of those servants past NP6, and even though your servant was perfect, those coins were worthless. And extra coins you would use for a different system where you can basically create holy grails, which is another resource to help get your servants' levels up, because those coins were useless. Well, now they're not useless anymore, but we didn't know this was coming. So that was already irritating, because it's like, well, if I knew this was coming, I wouldn't burn those extra coins because I knew they were valuable. Because now I have to roll that character more because the bond level isn't going to suffice for it now. But not only that, because of how the math works out, instead of having NP6, instead of having to roll 6 copies for your perfect servant, you have to roll 8 copies now. 8 of them, 2 extra. And mind you, rolling a copy of an SSR is a 1% chance. A 1% and an 80% chance. Which outraged everybody. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Asking to just roll 3 extra copies of a character just for those stupid, silly coins, and that don't actually power up the character significantly, but it's like a completionist thing, but it's the principle of the matter. So the JP side was so outraged that they complained and complained and complained. Within 24 hours, the company basically issued a response saying, "Okay, we're going to implement a system where you can switch the active append skills, which is those passive skills, but so you can take one of the three that you have unlocked already and apply it to the new ones," which is one side of the solution. The second thing they did is refund everybody's servant coins that they had burned previously to make holy grails, still letting them keep the grails, but now that they know that they should have been saving the coins, they refunded everybody's coins for the last like 2 or 3 years, 2, 3, 4 years we've had the system, gave them all back, and we thought that's where it stopped for a minute. And then the last thing that they did was basically they're reworking the system to where those bond levels, not rolling extra characters, but the bond levels, just the thing you get by playing the game, gives you more coins. So basically reset the math all over again to where now your perfect servant would only require NP6 again, but more bond levels. So you're actually not using money to roll the gacha more and to get those two extra append skills. I hope I was explaining that plainly so that made sense to everybody. But the point I'm trying to make here is that the greedy gacha company of mobile gamings who, we roll gacha to get new characters, basically asked us to continue rolling and spending money, and the community was so outraged that they backpedaled on it super hard within like 24 to 48 hours and basically just said, "Hey, we fucked up. Hey, we're going to fix it. We're already fixing things. We're doing this to make this better for you. We're sorry. We shouldn't have done that," sort of thing. We weren't thinking ahead. And I'm just like, if the gacha mobile game company can't admit when they're wrong on these sorts of things, or can admit when they're wrong on these sorts of things, and all these other AAA companies can, Ubisoft telling us we don't own games anymore, fucking Overwatch pretending like Overwatch 2 was anything but just a different monetization system, and just being like, "Oh no, it was fine. It was for this reason. We weren't wrong. We knew what we were doing." I just found that, I don't know, I just found that interesting. I know that was a long thing, but I just thought that was really interesting that, people shit on mobile gaming all the time, but, feels like they give a little bit more of a shit when we bitch about something than, the industry at large does. But anyways, I just want to talk...
That made sense.
Okay. I was hoping I was saying that it plain enough that made sense to everyone, and why I was saying that kind of applies to gaming as a whole. Anyways... aside from that, I honestly can't think of like I said, I play a little bit of Deep Rock, play a little bit of Two Towers, and that was about it, honestly. I haven't had any time for more Baldur's Gate, so I haven't been playing that. Just did D&D last night, but that was about it. So Jordan, how was your week? What'd you do?
I was trying to have a nice good day and got into my GameCube game genre, and I guess a bunch of games that I had to choose. I got with the Animal Crossing, the very first one that came out, and was playing that again because it was just one of those games that make you feel good. Got that nice background music. It's just very simple stuff, like I've said before. I'm a simple man. And
were you totally insulted by all the animals that you brought over?
No,
because that's what happens in the first one. It's very funny.
No, they're. I mean, yeah, they do make funny and stuff, but it's like it was just a really cool thing. I was like, a very small area, just do your, I mean, it does suck in the beginning, and I think that's the same for any one of them, where you spend a lot of time just trying to get to know everybody in town, and they do it without a mapping system, and it's a small island, but it's just like you got to find everybody before you can even start to get money to pay off your your mortgage, all this shit.
The first Animal Crossing grinding money in that game is such a pain unless you get lucky with the fucking turnip market. It's like, my God, I hope it's not a sea bass. Nope, it's a sea bass. I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah, I just was enjoying it. It was just the good music of it was, or it's just like when you're ready to save the game, it like plays that like music, almost sounds like a lullaby. It's like, oh man, it's gonna put me to bed, man. It's gonna make me go sleepy. And I, had fun with that. Introduced to my my middle daughter. She's playing the hell out of it. She loves that game, so that was pretty cool. And then I got involved with Advanced Wars for Game Boy Advance. That's actually really fun. I was really digging it. I know it was good that they have the tutorial system where they're teaching you how to play the game, but it's actually fun. It's not like you have to do this crap and just bunches of words and stuff that you have to constantly keep reading. But she's the lady that's there is actually directing you and trying to help you out, and then she even asks you if you want her to continue to keep assisting you. And of course, I'm like, sure, I want to know everything I can about the damn game. So just kept giving you very quick, easy hints, and then testing you. Like, hey, you're about to take over this fortress. Do you think it's best that you take the first one or the second one? And then you decide, and then she'll like say, yeah, that was the right one, or no, you should have chose this one. So I'm still on the tutorial part, but it is actually pretty cool. I think I'm going to enjoy that a lot. I think I'll probably play the hell out of that for sure. And then
I would have stayed up later with you, but I was getting too late. I want to see you play the rest of the game, because they really do. Once you're out of the tutorial, it really is just like up to you to complete the levels how you see fit. Basically, they basically let you go once they feel like you have enough understanding of what's happening.
Yep. And then then of course the Deep Rock Galactic. We were all playing that together. It was funny that when you see a dwarf that doesn't have any facial hair, it just, I don't know, it bothered me. So I was like, hey man, put that shit back on, And I was like, put that beard on, or your fucking mustache. Something's got to be put back. And of course, I made mine look like Dr. Robotnik. So I was like able to go in there and just show how bad I was at the game. So of course, shooters or any of those, I'm not good at them. So I kind of figured that I was going to die a lot, which I did. So I felt like I was more of the person that was somebody had to come and save, damsel in distress. But I'm a dwarf in distress. So it was.
I thought you guys were doing good. You were picking up on it really fast, and you and Corey immediately kind of realized the synergy between engineer and scout with your platform gun, and Corey being able to grapple hook and shit like that. So you guys were picking it up really fast. So I was proud of you all.
Oh, yeah, he felt like a Batman. I felt like a volleyball. I was getting fucking just spiked all over the place. I don't know what it was. I'd be 1 second I'm over here, the next second I'm like 30 meters down that way. It's like, what the fuck? Where is Jordan? I'm over here, and I'm just like getting mauled by fucking bugs just trying to go in my ass, just killing me. And
that's not a place for bugs.
That's where they go, man. They mining in my ass. It's just like, get out of there, bro. I'm trying to mine for gold.
Galactic.
That's a deep. They going deep. My rock galactic. That's right. But that's enough of my fucking shit.
Flagged.
So
those bugs were crawling up you like the scarabs were crawling up the guy in the Mummy. There's a segue.
There you go. Yes. Let's go ahead and jump into our polls. So our polls are all movie tie-in games bad? Yes or no? Winner was no. What do y'all think about that?
Lies.
I believe that's true. I don't think I don't think all movie games are bad, just like I don't think all game movies are bad, but there is a very hard, barrier to reach to be, accepted by people that play these things. Because I honestly don't know what the target audience is. I just remember that they used to crank these things out like crazy, that being movie tie-in games, and it's just kind of like, who is this for?
It's when they were just cheaper to fucking make. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like when you think of the good movie, the quote unquote good movie games, they're only good because in comparison to the rest of the movie games, they seem competent. But when you put those games up against actual video games, they still fall short.
So yeah, and I mean, it's funny, and I didn't play Lost for any recordings, and I know that's like a TV show game, but it's kind of a weird. It has a weird approach because it's characters from the show, but it's not directly related because of the show does its own thing. So you're kind of a unnamed character that also was on the plane, and then it's not a very long game at all. It's more of just if you're a fan of the show, you'll like the game. Nothing that happens in the game is related to any events that take place in the show at all. It's just its own.
Well, I mean, that's
mystery game, I guess. But
well, I mean, we were talking
person.
We were talking about mainly about the I mean, you can keep going. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's just to be precise. We were we're talking about these are games that it's like it came from a movie, because there's lots of like, you know, games and stuff based off of IPs that originated as movies or books or something like that, which is different because it's the difference between playing Lord of the Rings The Two Towers and Lord of the Rings The Third Age. One is directly based off a movie, while one is just based off of the IP.
Right.
One of them is
or like that
biting off of Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, or like that Bourne game that I was playing, you guys were watching. That's not officially a part of the movie, but it was sort of like that. It was funny to watch nonetheless.
I'm kind of disappointed because, like, one, also, I'm excited that we're doing this episode because I know I've mentioned this in past episodes.
This is Corey's baby
I feel like it's, you know, it's a nice thing to talk about, and like the game I wish I got to play in preparation for this that I didn't is the Saw game, but I do remember my roommate Dakota playing it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And so whenever you watch a movie, this is like I guess the segue to it, right, is like I have never once sat down and watched a movie and was like, I wish this was a video game. Because it's very hard to translate any of that stuff into a video game, especially because the dog shit games usually come from the earlier, like, retro gaming. Like, I'm talking Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis
fucking
era.
E.T., man.
Like, I don't know why. I know there's got to be a Jaws game, but, like, Jurassic Park has a game on Super Nintendo. That's probably going to be in this video. Maybe. I know I have Edwin's, like, Over the Hedge freaking, like, marathon that he played.
Oh, my God.
Like,
I mean, that game is actually fun. I like that one. I used to play that as a kid.
So there's like it's weird, right? Because like Aladdin and Lion King have this like notorious like difficulty spike that people talk about all the time when they talk about those specific games that are based on the animated films. And you think animated movies are easier to do, but like the Toy Story game was not fun.
And talking about this unearthed or repressed memory for me with the fucking, I was like, man, I did play that, didn't I? Suddenly all came back to me.
Those games, both those games too, are so memeable, like hard, that they did a double pack on Switch for both of them. So you can get Aladdin and Lion King on Switch if you want to just punish yourself. Yeah, but like a lot of us, we got a chance to play them as kids. God. Yeah, the just can't wait to be king level in Lion King is a nightmare.
Can't wait to get fucked.
And then the very difficult magic carpet escape the cave fucking lava.
You didn't even get to the magic carpet section when you were playing that.
Yeah, I was trying, but like I hit that game over, and like the genie gets so disappointed when you go to the exit. You're like, I'm gonna leave. He's like, oh, he's getting all sad, and then you kill yourself, and then he's just like, well.
And then you thought it couldn't get any worse, and you got to fucking just jump on a bunch of fucking cards he keeps throwing at you while you're going. When you just got done with that stupid ass cave place with the fucking lava shit, I was like, oh my god, it's so annoying.
So I have a weird library of movie games. Some of them I bought on purpose because, like, in anticipation of like eventually doing something like this.
Some of them I bought on purpose, as opposed to just like when you go to the game store and you're like, "Oh, damn! It jumped in my hand and I accidentally bought it."
No,
whoops, there goes my card. Whoops, I swiped it.
No, there were gifts. You know that I received a gift as like a kid. You know, I'm like at the Christmas tree. It's like, oh, what is this Super Nintendo game? This is a very specific shaped box. I totally know this is a game. Is it Final Fantasy? Is it Lufia 2? And then you open it up and it's Home Alone 2. And that game is not fun at all. And I know that you saw me play it, Udon.
That was so funny.
I was like,
bling, 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 bling.
It has like, I don't know what like the purpose of all of it, because I liked watching the Home Alone movies as a kid. I thought they were really fun. And then I never was like, I wish I could play that as a video game. So let's just, whoever got the IP for it to develop it into like this shitty platformer was like, what is a really good game design? What if the player dies if they don't do anything in the first 3 seconds of the game? And so like, if you just stand still because you weren't paying attention, like obviously they didn't think that we would have cell phones, but now we have cell phones. So you're looking at your phone and then you're like, oh shit. And then this grown man is just choking you to death on the screen in the first 3 seconds. You're like, oh, I don't remember that part of the movie. That and all the haunted luggage and
the haunted luggage, sentient fucking vacuum cleaners, the maids that just wait for you in rooms and throw shit at you.
The like old lady with an umbrella, the weird guy in a trench coat.
The fat guy never did anything. You just killed him every time.
Yeah, maybe he was going to help me. Yeah, the fat guy could have been like helping me or whatever, but I just shot him with a bazooka. Because I remember, just like the movie, when you shoot the bad guys with a bazooka.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, like that is what I think of when I think of like terrible like movie tie-in games. Is the Super Nintendo era.
And I was going to say, I was like, it's very weird that because I've seen the Home Alone, that same game being played, but I've also seen like multiple like Barbie games being played, and those two play extremely similarly, like they were made from the same company.
They probably were.
Yeah,
they probably have like if I had to guess, THQ or something like that, just a wild ballpark. But there was a company that was just shitting these games out all the time. Any movie that came out had some sort of tie-in, Page Master, basically anything Macaulay Culkin was in except for The Good Son, because, like, God, if they would have made The Good Son a freaking game, that would have been a nightmare. But, I mean, Michael Jackson even has his own Super Nintendo game that's just weird as hell. Yeah, Moonwalker. We got Terminator and RoboCop, and Terminator versus RoboCop. I believe
Michael Jackson did all that?
I blew my mind when I realized that was real.
Yeah, I remember getting it from Blockbuster as a kid, but like I don't ever think I've ever seen it like on a shelf somewhere. But it was weird that it was Terminator versus RoboCop, and I think you play as RoboCop. But those games aren't terrible because it kind of, lends itself to the like Contra style of like, oh, this is an action platformer with like a gun, and it makes sense because it's an action movie. But when you're watching We're Back, a dinosaur story, and then they go, hey, what if we just made this into a shitty platformer game where you're surfing through the sewers? And it's like, I don't remember that part at all. Like, who designed this shit? And who is this for? But, like, it was easy to sell it because I guarantee it was people like, my mom that was like, oh, he watches this all the time. Christmas is around the corner.
Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe.
Yes. Oh my God. That game's also that game's terrible.
And Prism.
So I have Prism is a different thing because that's not based on anything. But yeah, that game sucks.
You got both at the same time.
Okay. So the Narnia thing was funny because I was playing a demo back like 360, let you like download demos for everything basically, which was super cool, by the way.
Yeah.
And I remember playing the demo and I was like, man, this game is just shitty. And then, like, my birthday was around the corner, and I went upstairs, and they were like, oh, we got you, like, here's a birthday gift. And they handed me, like, obviously a DVD-shaped case, and I opened it, and it was that game. It was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And Jordan just started laughing. Because I think it was the day before, I was like, this game sucks. And then I got it for Christmas or whatever.
Yeah, you played the demo. You're like, this game fucking sucks. And then sure enough, you got the real game. And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
But it's weird because, like, you'd think that it would be like it's a more modern game on a modern console. They have, like, room to make it more of an epic because, like, the Lord of the Rings games, that you played the Two Towers. And the Lord of the Rings games aren't terrible. They're not obviously the greatest game ever made. But...
I mean, after I fucking just played it just now, I had a very different remembrance of how it used to be.
Well, Two Towers is cool, and like to be fair, it's like similar to like we were talking about movie tie-ins, and not like IP properties, because like the Shadows of Mordor and Shadows of War are like a completely different like beast when it comes to.
Well, I mean, the best example is just like Star Wars Battlefront. It's Star Wars, but it's a video game built from the ground up, and everyone loves Battlefront. And I mean, old Battlefront, by the way.
Yeah,
and like shit, like because I played Lord of the Rings Conquest as well, which is basically their Battlefront, but for Lord of the Rings. I played the shit out of that too, or like the Third Age, and the RTS one. Like you can make video games based on IPs and TV shows and movies and shit, but it's just like for whatever reason. The effort to make them when they're directly based off of the movie or something, just the effort takes a downfall. But when they're trying to actually make a video game for the sake of being a video game, suddenly they start giving a shit.
Yeah, I think like Disney is a monster culprit in like making shitty game versions of everything that they do. From like,
well, the thing is, we're in an era where it's like that just stopped. Like that was like a plague back during like PS2. GameCube era. That's where like all of this was at its peak, and then like we didn't have nearly as many in like the 360 PS3 days and the Wii. I mean, we had a bunch of shovelware, but oddly enough, it wasn't a bunch of movie tie-in games. It was just really shitty video games. But nowadays, you'll hardly, if ever, see like games directly based off of movies or TV shows because of how if it is, it's in the Battlefront era where it's like they're just using the IP, but they're making the video game to be something different, not directly based on whatever the thing was. Because I think like video game development has just gotten too expensive at this point to warrant doing that anymore, and they don't understand that indie market is a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's backwards.
It might have been. Yeah, no, it is definitely backwards. I was going to say.
Yeah. Hi, Borderlands. How's the box office doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I was kidding.
Borderlands box office.
I mean, I saw something that it was like 4 million on opening weekend or whatever. It costs like 200 million to make. It's real bad.
To play devil's advocate on that, I would imagine that streaming services aren't necessarily helping, because I would think that movies across the board are kind of impacted dramatically on like opening weekends. But that doesn't really work with the fact that Barbie and Oppenheimer both sold like crazy. I went and saw Oppenheimer in theaters, and it was a pretty dope movie. But like, yeah, like I don't know, Borderlands. It's weird because, I didn't ask for it. And not that it's like they didn't call me up like, Corey, can we make a movie about Borderlands? I was like, no, but it's just weird that we're starting to see that happen in reverse, because when I was a kid, there was like there was games about mascots from like,
Pepsi
Spot,
Man,
Noid, Pepsi Man, the Noid. It was just like a bunch of weird like video games about nothing, and then like you get all your like. I mean, I guess it's like the oops, we hired them division gets to make the movie game while everybody else focuses on like the big like money maker for that one. But yeah, like you were saying, it's too expensive now to develop a game for them to even take a chance. But they kind of are doing it. It's just in a different way, and that's just by acquiring the IP and then setting the world in the universe, because they know like it like 20 years of just throwing shit at a fan, and then they finally were like, what if we just made a game that was set in the universe of Dune instead of making a Dune movie game? Because it's like, yeah, I saw the movie. That was cool. I don't want to play the movie. I want to experience that world. So they're doing like an MMO. Lord of the Rings does it with all the other spin-off stuff that they do. But they do have those tie-ins for, was it like the Gollum game that did terrible? Which that also was like, why did you make this? I never once watched that movie and was like, I love this character so much, but I wish I could hear more about him.
Here's the thing. I bet you any amount of money that if the people who made that wasn't a bunch of chimpanzees on cocaine in an office, like they probably could have made at least a semi-passable game. But like when that came out, people were like, what the fuck? When did I fall into the hot tub time machine? Why am I back in the PS2 era of shitty movie tie-in games? It's like
don't worry.
That kind of quality.
There's a King Kong movie game coming, or a King Kong game that's coming out that's going to dwarf this. But
that already happened. Remember the fucking King? It was
Skull
fuck.
Island?
And I don't think it was not Skull Island. Fuck, what was it called?
It was some terrible graphic King Kong.
Yeah,
game.
it came out like 2 or 3 months after Gollum did, and people were like, "Wow, 2 in 1 year. This is like grade A year for shitty video games."
Yeah. You guys are a race for the bottom.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Left 4 Dead one too that came out? And I was like, oh my god, that was a really bad one.
Oh, which one?
Back for Blood?
I don't know. If it was like
not Back for Blood.
Well, Back for Blood wasn't on that level. I mean, Back for Blood's shit, but it's not nearly on that level of bad. But like just having that King Kong game and the Gollum game come out in the same year, it's like, man, I'm almost starting to think we should have a fucking. They won't do it because it'll hurt people's feelings, but there should be a fucking meme category in the Game Awards for like shittiest game of the year or something.
Yeah. At least they get a trophy of some kind.
Yeah.
It would encourage people to make dumb shit though.
Participation trophy.
No, I mean that would have to be part of like the criteria. It had to be something that you actually thought was worth a shit, but you were just being stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that like, and we're obviously talking about like terrible like movie games, and the poll says kind of otherwise. But I think that most of the movie tie-in games that are just absolutely terrible are the retro ones, and it's because of limitations, and they're capitalizing on the fact that like we like this property. Like I played this stupid Super Return of the Jedi game,
Super Star Wars, yeah.
God, that game is so fucking hard.
It is really hard.
I got to the first, I beat this stupid land speeder thing. That's like a test of like, can you even play this game? Because if you can't get past this part, then you don't even get to see the fucking game. Because I don't remember, just like the movie part, where you're land speeding through, jumping over cliffs and trying not to fall in a fucking hole with like terrible Star Fox graphics. So you get through this part, and then it's like, all right, we're going to Jabba's palace, because you know that part of the movie. It's like, okay, cool. The level design is just so bad, and it's like full of, and we griped on this before, leaps of faith, and you can either play as Leia, Luke, or Chewbacca. And oddly enough, playing as Leia is the best, because she has a stupid spear, and she does the Samus jump thing. And I know Luke has a lightsaber, and he can throw it, but like the controls are dog shit. And then you get all the way to the last, or like the boss of that level, and I was just like, I cannot beat him because I don't understand how this fight works. He just hits you and he moves, and there's guns everywhere, and it's a terribly designed like level scheme, but that's a major property, and I know that people love those games. Like I love Shadows of Empire on 64, Rogue Squadron. Those games are really fun. Pod Racer. I mean, I would almost argue that's kind of a movie tie-in game because it's like the pod racing, but like the Super Nintendo didn't have a lot of room for these things to grow, so they just became shitty platformers.
Yeah, Batman Forever.
Yeah, God, that game is terrible too. Like basically, most Batman games that are on Super Nintendo are bad, and I mean, I'll stand on that.
We'll bring it back to Star Wars because it's one of the few games. I mean, I generally stay away from those games because I'm gonna point my nose up in the air and be like, I don't play those kinds of games. I'm a real gamer. Sorry. But I don't know how I obtained it, but I believe I had Revenge of the Sith on Game Boy Advance back in the day, and I did like Star Wars a lot as a kid. I still like it now, but I mean, I'm not nearly as much of a nerd about it as I was before. But I played it a decent amount, and like talking about this leading up to this episode, like unearthed that memory because I had completely forgotten I had played that game, and it's just one of those games where it's like ungodly hard because for whatever reason in these games they love making it to where it's like it has one or multiple of like the following things. It's like all the enemies do like 800 damage every time they hit you. The level design is such that it is nearly impossible to dodge enemies on some platforms or however the game is laid out. There's very few, if no, health pickups, or the level is just so damn long that it's just a battle of attrition because you're not getting those health pickups, and everything does a bunch of damage and when you die you just restart the entire level, and it's just like you're trapped in a goddamn circle of hell trying to get your way out until you finally like have been whipped enough to like learn every single enemy's spawn location and know where they are, because you have to do that in order to even have a chance at winning. But I definitely remember that game being one of those where it's just like, because it played like the closest comparison I can think of is like Castle Crashers, where it was like a side scroller thing, and now and again the screen would like freeze and enemies would come in, like droids would come in from either side of the screen and like shoot you and stuff, and you had play as like Anakin or Obi-Wan with your lightsaber and some force powers and shit. But it just suffered from the fact that it was so damn difficult to dodge everything. The platforming was terrible. Everything did too much damage, and there was like little to no health pickups. And even when you would pick up a health pickup, it gave you like, here's like 4% health back. It's like, man, thanks, dude. That really helps when the enemy's hits do like 35% of my health in one hit. But yeah, that's one of the few games I've played that was really bad. It's just it's repressed memory.
I think that like maybe I've treated you too harshly. The these like I feel like it's Christmas that kind of ruins those games in general, is because it's like they have probably movie tie-in games probably have the strictest deadline ever, because it's like we have to get this out by Christmas. And if the movie came out in October, God help you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, we got 4 months to make a shitty platformer.
You're living at your desk.
I wish I got to play the Harry Potter games before this conversation, because like I know that those are like very wide. They span like a huge variety of play styles because of like how the movies over time mature in general. So you go from like the goofy looking Harry that's like running around finding like jelly beans to like this weird cover shooter based off of like Gears of War style with wands. And it's like I kind of wish I could experience that, but like I know that movie tie games have always kind of like steered me away from them. So I just like there was a point obviously where I just was like, no way, not this time. Fool me 16 times, shame on me, but not 17.
Yeah, I think that was another thing we talked about. Is like 99% of these movie tie-in games. Like, what game should we do? Platformer.
Yeah.
Platformer every time. It doesn't matter what the movie was or was. It could fucking be goddamn Blade turned into a platformer. Like,
yeah, they're like, what did Blade collect in that movie? He collected blood one time. Okay, what if he has to find 1,000 of them?
yeah.
What if he had to jump from roof to roof and find 1,000 blood vials? Okay, I guess.
It's like, well, we were thinking more Dynasty Warriors or something like that, but all right.
Well, okay, fine. Halfway through the game, then we'll put in that weird like 3D chip card thing where he is running really fast, and then it's very fucking difficult, so nobody sees the other half of the game because we didn't finish it. Like, sold.
I mean, that's what it feels like sometimes. Like, we'll just make it so difficult that they'll never get past the first like level or two, because then we can just like phone in the rest of the game and no one can call us out on it.
Well, I think about like the 4:3 ratio. Like, obviously, this is like not really like a big limitation because TVs are all 4:3 ratio anyway. So this is how they were designing stuff. But like, we're so spoiled by our 16:9 that like the platformers where you're always moving forward, you can see where you're going. And those games going back to it, even in Donkey Kong Country, right? That's not even a movie game. That's like a Nintendo property game. In the minecart level, you don't know what the hell you're about to jump into or what's coming until it's already on the screen because there's not enough time. And like those, like the movie tie-in games, that's just the whole game. Like, I don't know what's about to happen because they didn't either. and they're just like, yeah, whatever. This is Toy Story. There was a car in that one, so let's just have it driving him, and you have to jump over blocks, right? Because Andy's room is 2 miles long.
It's 2 miles long, and he is very dirty, and his mom never makes him pick up all the shit on the floor.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I remember this part.
I mean, they could probably have made the 007 GoldenEye game a lot more fun if they would just, fix the controls. Jesus.
That's kind of like where we can go into now, right? Is like I played GoldenEye on because GoldenEye is on Switch, the 64 arcade thing, and I was gonna play like the original because I have the original, and I did buy like a wireless controller for GameCube that has like a better layout than the 64 like hold my wiener joystick. But so that the controller actually makes that game more playable, but the weird part is the Switch one, you can't like change the controls, and so there's this weird like inverted thing that you kind of have to adjust to. Like, you can't change the button layout, so you're still kind of beholden to like a weird playstyle of that. But like, it's crazy how praised GoldenEye is, and it's like, people use that as like, if we didn't like, GoldenEye walked so Halo could run type of thing. Like, it's the split screen, the original 4-player co-op or like team deathmatch at home that people were playing all the time. And it's a movie game. And it's wild that it's such a like huge part of gaming, and it's literally a movie game.
Yeah. I'll admit that I wasn't really into playing GoldenEye as a child, so I just never really cared all that much. I never really saw. I weirdly enough, I haven't played GoldenEye, but I've played Perfect Dark, which is basically just Rare wanting to do GoldenEye again, but they couldn't get the property back, so they're like, all right, well, fine, we'll do it with fucking chicks and aliens. Fuck you.
That'll work.
Yeah. But I suppose there's diamonds in the rough. I mean, I'm still firmly in the fact GoldenEye was just good in comparison to all the other shitty movie tie-in games that existed. It just because it was Rare and they gave half a crap, they managed to make a game that was passable. So everyone was like, "It's amazing." I'm just like, I don't know if GoldenEye hadn't have done done things with first-person shooters. Something else would have if they didn't just go on and make Perfect Dark after that. But I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know which came first because I know Turok
it was GoldenEye.
is a like Turok. Well, yeah, GoldenEye came out before Perfect Dark, but like Turok is a first-person shooter. Doom 64 also exists. Not to say that Doom is like a revolutionary shooter. They didn't really kind of up their game until they did Doom 3 and changed everything with normal maps and all that bullshit. I'm not shitting on Doom. The music is crazy and like the setting is dope. I don't know. I don't find myself playing them at all. I played the Wolfenstein games, but that's besides the point. But there wasn't a lot of first-person shooters like on console because that was like a PC thing, right? Because Counter-Strike did exist, I think, at this point in time. I mean, it might have been. It might have just been like Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein on PC, so we didn't really see any shooters on like a console. And for 64 to have it, I don't know. I know PlayStation was kind of running like side by side with 64 at the time, and Dreamcast was not out yet. But
well, and it may not be movies in general itself too, because if you think about it, like. There was a lot of wrestling games, but they were based off the entertainment, watching off of TV.
Wrestling games wrestling games need to be studied because it's like, how the hell have we been making wrestling games for this long? It's so crazy that
because
there's so
you can
many
make your own
them.
Character and you make a horrible abomination and then they beat the fuck out of something and then you laugh.
I do have WCW NWO on 64.
No Mercy WF. That was WWF. Yeah. That was fun as shit. I love that one. There's so much people.
And it's funny because it's like a sports game, right? But like it's weird because wrestling is like a whole stage, like theatrical experience, and then they treat it like a sports game, right? Like there's probably just as many wrestling games, if not more, than FIFA, which is weird. But 60 GoldenEye, like I played that game like I was playing Halo. Like I was playing the missions, like I was trying to get everything. They had all the secret code stuff that you can unlock, like big DK mode, I think is what it was, like big head mode. You could play, like unlock all the levels, do all that, like the floating landmines thing. If you blow up all the TVs and stuff, it was like such an intricate like game, and it was so fun. Like people today still are like, "Oh, you got GoldenEye 64? Turn that on." And we also have like really fond memories of GoldenEye, and then you play it again, you're like, how the fuck was I good at this?
Well, that was that one with that Die Another Day, where that was I was having, Udon yourself watching me play, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing or what I was on to play this shit, because I can't play it. It's unplayable. What the fuck? I must have been dreaming, because I can't see how this was like, yeah, I'm having a great time, because I all I could do was look up and look down. When it came to moving forward, I was just confused.
Aiming is so hard.
So bad.
It's so difficult to freaking... I was trying to, so the best part, I think, about, like, in GoldenEye, when I was playing it's the first level, it's the dam. They kind of introduce you to stuff like, movement, obviously that's basic shit. But you have a silenced pistol versus a loud pistol, so you can kill somebody discreetly. They have a silenced sniper rifle. And the difference between sniping and using a rifle is that the screen just kind of zooms in more. Like, you're not aiming through a scope. It just pushes the camera further. It's like, okay. I still can't tell what I'm looking at because the fucking graphics are just dog shit. So, because, 64 graphics just don't age very well. And I know that, we did that episode with Ocarina of Time and stuff, and it is a charming game. And for some reason, that game does age well to me.
It's because it's cartoony.
Yeah, it's the stylized part. Yeah, it's not characters that have a real person's face as a texture map on their face.
Another trope of fucking movie games is that it's just they try and make the person. That's part of the reason why they age so poorly. Is that's trying to be a real person, but it looks more just like a sleep paralysis demon more than anything else.
It's funny because they do that in The Mummy. So The Mummy is probably one of. It's in my top 10 movies. It's one of my favorite movies that I can just watch it over and over again. I love the music. I just love the sense of adventure that the movie has. It's just so fun to me. It's just very much a fun movie. I like the ride at Universal. And so I was I saw, and what inspired this episode in general is I saw the game sitting at the local retro game store that I go to and I was like, oh man, I want to buy that. Cause I don't remember seeing this at all. I feel like I would have loved this as a kid. And it's funny because Edwin got to play it too, because I brought it home. I did pick it up, and we gave it a shot. And none of the voice acting in the game is from the movie. So it's a bunch of people trying to sound like them, which is really funny. So he's like, "Hey, I'm Brendan Fraser, I swear." And that's basically the cap of voice acting for any of them. And if you told me it actually was him, I would be very confused because the mics were, I don't know, it's just like the audio quality is bad. But his character model is also terrible because it's just his face, like that just one expression over him, like the whole time. But the gameplay isn't terrible, but it is kind of rough. It's like
a platformer.
No, I want to say it's a 3D. It's kind of like Uncharted. Basically, if it was it's Tomb Raider, right? So it's like you're walking around these dungeons, and the traps are like they kind of tried to design this game, and it's really weird because you collect traps or you collect these treasures, and you get an object that can instant kill things, which is like some weird like Pharaoh's scepter thing. And I think I played it for like 3 levels or something, and then Edwin got a chance to play it too, and he could tell you his experience playing The Mummy.
I mean, it was like pretty simplistic. The controls were a little confusing. It took me it was a tank with controls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that just add more difficulty. But even because Corey played it first, and even with him telling me what the controls were, it still didn't make any goddamn sense. But it was like it was still pretty fun. Like I would actually play that regularly, alongside with probably Corey would play it regularly as well. Unless he already beat it. Did you beat it?
No, I didn't beat it. I was giving it another go the other day, Friday. I think I was just playing a bunch of movie games. But like it is fun. I mean, I didn't hate what I was playing. It's like once you get past the controls and you kind of got to like look at it through the lens of like, this is a PS1 game. I can't hold it to the standard of PS5 games, obviously. So it's just like, what is this game trying to imitate? And is it doing it well? And it's kind of imitating the original Tomb Raider. It does have the auto lock, so I don't have to aim, which Resident Evil 1 did not even have.
Yeah, so it did. It was the director's cut. You were just playing the one that didn't have the auto
I was playing the original version, and so like this game has auto lock. And the thing that is with the Mummy is it has like questionable controls for things. Because it's like, this works, but why the hell did you do this? So the way that you change your items is you have to hold like R1, and it brings up a menu. You would think, now that this menu is open, I can navigate between items. No, you just hold R1 and it starts to auto-cycle. So once you have like 5 or 6 items, you can't just change to your guns. You have to hold R1 until it goes to your guns. And if you miss it, then you have to wait for it to cycle back around. And it's just like, who made that? That's so stupid. That's just so dumb.
I think that was the part I was having the most trouble with.
Yeah, because it's either you fight them with a torch, which goes out all the time, so you have to light it on fire again. And they do the whole scarabs thing. We were talking about it before this even started, is the creepy scarabs that climb in your skin. And
Uh-oh.
Did he die?
Well, anyway.
So like if you have a damage multiplying...
you cut out.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Which part?
You were talking about the scarabs.
Oh, yeah, no, so like when you have the torch and it's lit, the scarabs don't like approach you. And I don't know if lighting the torch actually has like a benefit to damage. All it really does is help illuminate the room because you're running around in a dark fucking hallway. But then like a guy busts out of the wall and he's like, "Oh, I'm a mummy." And you're just like, "Oh, I'm going to use my guns for this." And you do have ammo, but they have like hidden areas and stuff, and it's kind of like a tight corridor. But the level design for the Mummy isn't bad. It's just not interesting, if that makes sense. It's more or less just a long series of hallways until you get to the next checkpoint.
Was it literally like an entire hallway of just spike traps?
Yes. And then there's another part where you have to run because the pillars will fall on you. And they tease that to the player by having the pillars kind of rocking a little bit, but just subtly. And if you're not paying attention, they fall at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So,
that's ridiculous.
So you have to run knowing that they're just going to kill you immediately. And by classic video game logic, that means start over. So, but The Mummy is not a terrible game held to PS1 standards. I've played worse PS1 games. I'm not saying Resident Evil 1 is worse than The Mummy. That's not true at all. It's just... It's not a bad movie game, and I think this is where they started turning things around. Like, not necessarily where they started, because GoldenEye, obviously, they made a fun game, but I think it wasn't necessarily, like, because they were, like, trying to adapt the movie properly, because there's a lot of stuff in GoldenEye that is not a part of the movie. It's just, game padding by making levels, and then they're like, oh, we hit story beats from the movie, but then, we have to add some things. So... I think that with GoldenEye and The Mummy, they were just focusing on being entertaining rather than being verbatim. And it's funny because, Home Alone, I don't remember the guy choking him to death in the movie, or the luggage and angry woman with the fucking umbrella, but like the platformers on Super Nintendo just didn't have that quality that they could actually achieve. So they all kind of suffered because the limitations that they were under. The game design,
I don't know.
Probably,
Super Mario World was on the SNES.
Yeah, no, Super Mario. Yeah, I mean, right. So, like, they could have made a good platformer, but I think that they just, within the box that they had to think in, they just weren't creative enough about it.
If they're in a box, if they're creatively in a box, they put themselves there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure people's hands are tied on these kinds of things, but I'm still firmly in the camp. It's just like, I don't care what you're making. If you put a little bit of creativity into it, you could probably make something cool. Who knows? Fucking in another alternate reality, instead of getting GoldenEye, Home Alone was that game. Home Alone did something so crazy with platforming as a genre that they started emulating. Like, maybe they did the thing where instead of DuckTales, it was Home Alone that did some kind of pogo stick mechanic that found its way into Shovel Knight years later because someone on that team decided to try and give a shit.
The DuckTales, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but, like, I don't know. I don't give a lot of ground to these sorts of things. They're just cash grabby nightmares. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming the people who are making them. You gotta eat. So if your contract says I have to make Home Alone, guess I'm making Home Alone. But
yeah, no, and it's funny because, like, if you do look back on, like, the old console, where you got, like, Home Alone, you have Jurassic Park. You have Goof Troop.
Yeah.
Those are top down. Like, I was playing Jurassic Park the other day, and you guys were watching me, and it's like a top down. I hate to say Zelda-esque, but that's just kind of the game that follows that category. I don't really know. The game just starts, which is weird. I don't know what my objective is outside of, like, random things from the movie where, like, a character from the movie pops up on the screen blocking everything that you can see as you're getting killed by, like, a Gallimimus, and it's just like, don't shoot the T-Rex, and it's like, I know, I'm trying not to die right now, but then you, like, move into a building and it turns into a Doom simulator, and it's like, what the hell is this? But the music for that game is really good, but I don't understand, like, they were trying the most, really, is if I had to, like, kind of put a stamp on that. Jurassic Park was like, what kind of game do we want to be? They're like, what about all of them?
Steve and Jim wanted to do Zelda, and Steve wanted to do Doom, and then Kevin said, you're both right, so we just got both.
Yeah, he's like, what if we just took both your ideas and made a complete game? He's like, cool. What's it about? He's like, I don't know, just throw Jurassic Park on the title, and then they'll figure it out.
And again, another example. I like Jurassic Park Genesis, but it's just based off of the IP. That was just, Zoo Tycoon, but it was based off of, Jurassic Park. That game was fun. I love that game.
Yeah, and like, that's kind of what we're seeing nowadays. Is like I said with the Dune thing, is like they're just finding popular franchises and then making, like, an entire, like, game out of it rather than having to follow the category of, like, what was in that movie. Even though they still add stuff anyways that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, the Warrior, that was one that I actually made fun of, and then when I played it, I actually quite enjoyed it. It was my nephew. He got that because this was in that era when they were, yeah, like you said, they were just pumping out movie games for anything, just as songs they could make a sale. But that one right there was actually, it filled in quite well, because in the Warriors, they're basically just running away, being chased by all these different gangs, and it filled in just the same exact way. You were basically just doing like episode to episode of just fighting different gangs until you made your way to the very end, where you had that, the iconic "Warriors come out to play," and then you fight all those people, and then it finishes off. But all the movies play, all the episodes and scenes play directly from like the scenes of the movie, so it was actually kind of nice to,
I forgot
to see
that
it.
you played that.
Yeah, I was making fun of it. That was a funny thing. I was like, what the fuck is this piece of shit game?
Was it a PS2 game or was it a 360
It was
game?
an Xbox and PS2 game. And it was because I was like making fun of it, and I was like, this is stupid. And then I just saw him playing. I was like, give me the sticks, I'll play it. And then I beat it. And I was like, all right, I need to watch what I say, because obviously I thought this was stupid, and I actually quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, but like that movie, right, lends itself to the category of like, let's make a beat 'em up. So that's like the perfect match, right? Is they do like, let's do a side-scrolling beat 'em up game. Isn't that what it was? It was a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah, it was.
It was like an arena beat 'em up game, I think, actually.
Yeah, it was like wide open, a little open area, and you would just grab shit and you could just beat them up. But it was, the level design was like, it would kind of change your directions where you were going. So it wasn't just like one flat, simple location. It would constantly rotate the camera.
Kind of like the bouncer.
Yeah, well, you could like break into cars and shit too, and like steal car radios and shit, and then you were playing as the Warriors, and you were fighting the different gang groups.
That was like another like generation. Like they started stepping away, right? Like so we had GoldenEye, and we started like moving on, and so the Warriors came out on Xbox. There's also what, Fight Club? Do you remember the Fight Club game?
Oh God, yeah.
That was so hard to play because it would be like you have to do specific things. Where it would like break his arm. I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
I can't.
I remember you had that game.
Yeah, so we were playing Fight Club, and it's just like, it's just a fighting game, but like it's a fighting game that has very specific like missions, and it's like you should have just let it be like a brutal fighting game. That's all you guys needed to do. You didn't need to do anything else. But once you started adding like, you have to beat this guy through like this type of way, then it was like, I don't want to play this. I can't play this.
And then
to
go ahead.
Follow up on Jordan, just saying that, like, I guess in the Warriors they intercut it with actual scenes from the movie. When I put in Two Towers, when you start, I mean, maybe once you save the game and you boot it up again, it doesn't do this. But like when I booted up the game, it just straight up played like the first like 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, essentially, because it was just straight up ripped footage of like Galadriel or whoever explaining, being like, there were once 3 rings, 3 to the elves for their mortal lives, 6 to the dwarf lords, and 9 to the humans, and there was the Dark Lord.
420p.
And keep in mind, there's no way to skip this, so I like halfway forgot. I just wasn't just watching Lord of the Rings for a minute, but then they intercut it because they do kind of a cool thing in Two Towers where they were trying to like fade, like, I don't know how to like explain this, like when the movie faded out, they had the video game portion ready to go, like fading into the video game portion, but because you're going from real life to PS2 graphics, like it is so jarring and hilarious because you're just looking at fucking what was it? You're like in the fight against Sauron, and it's just like you have this like real life fighting scene happening with Sauron and Isildur, I think it was his name, that cut off the ring. Suddenly it's PS2 graphics, and it would keep going back and forth between cutting in more of the movie and going back to the PS2 graphics. And then you see like Aragon in the movie, and then it would just like fade into the PS2 graphics. I was like, Jesus. It's so jarring going from like just a real person to this shitty polygonal ass Aragon fucking for the movie. I just found it was funny.
And it was funny because I actually was going through and I remember that there was another game that I also was just like, this game looks like shit, probably, because it's coming off of an actual movie. And it was X-Men Origins Wolverine. And that was like tying off of, yeah, the movie was horrible, but the game was fucking good. And it was funny though, because I remember I was showing the gameplay to Udon, and it was funny because it was like literally jump out of the plane starting, and you're just fucking ripping people apart, and then you land into a guy like full on into the guy with your fucking claws into the ground. You just killed the guy, and then you're just like a rabid animal, just launching after people, and then just ripping their heads off, cutting their face. I was like, this is what the movie should have been. This is fucking awesome. I'm just like killing and murdering people, and just going through it's just constant chaos the entire time. And I was just you couldn't stop, because every time you went after somebody, it wasn't just like the bullets would stop you. You would just take damage, but you were consistently moving after your targets. And there'd be just some of that stupid, platforming crap, or the one that you just got to climb an edge and you got to like do these stupid little, I'm trying to shimmer across a corner before I can get to my next target. Or there's just like, oh, there's enough room, and you just auto lock on them, because as soon as you learn the tackle move where you just like launch after people, then the game just becomes hilarious, because now you're just like, tackle him, look at the other guy, tackle him, and you're just constantly killing people. And it's just like, what the fuck? I feel like I'm like a tiger just ripping people apart. But it was a really fucking game to play though.
That game actually had some really cool like mechanics to it. It was a very, like, if I remember it correctly, yeah, because there's the one thing where you like pick the dude up and stick his head in the helicopter blades.
Yes. And you're actually like fighting a whole bunch of different bosses that are not actually in the movie, but they added more bosses that you were going to fight or encounter from,
and you
like,
fight a helicopter, like we said last episode. This is a game where you fight a helicopter.
Okay, yeah. Darn. That was the game of the month, was X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Is X-Men Origins, is that the one that has the Silver Samurai in it?
I can't...
I remember the game, but I don't remember... Like, I just remembered the jungle level, because I didn't play too much of the game. But I did remember...
so bad, the game is better by comparison.
Yeah, no, the game is 100% better than the freaking movie. They do like that real-time damage thing, so you can actually watch him healing. Like, it's crazy, because we talk about the Spider-Man like game all the time, and if I played the Spider-Man movie games, then obviously I would be able to bring that up more, but I've not played those because I purposely dodge movie games. But this one, like, for a superhero game where they want you to feel like the character, and it's funny because they are doing a modern Wolverine game, the same people that made Spider-Man. Like, this is like the benchmark for like a game where you feel like you're playing as Wolverine, where you have healing, because they do the body damage stuff, and you can see his like character model like re-healing again, and it was such a cool feeling for that. And you forget, that's I think that's like the key, right? You forget you're playing a movie game. If you are always reminded that you're playing the movie game, then it's not good.
Yeah, and then then there are just games out there that, I don't know, like specifically put, like, it's not exactly after the movie, but it ties into the movie, like the Riddick. And I don't know if anybody liked those movies or anything, but like, you play as Vin Diesel, of course, and you're Riddick, but it's actually cool because it fills in the spot where, if you remember watching Pitch Black, or was it called Pitch Black? Was that the name of the movie with him in it?
I think so.
Okay, well, he like talks about like how he got those eyes, sell for a pack of cigarettes or something like that. You're actually playing in Riddick, and you're in prison, and you actually end up getting the surgery done in that video game. So it's like it adds into that part where you didn't really know much about his backstory, and then it actually fills you in with that video game, and it's actually pretty cool.
That reminds me, actually, I haven't played it myself. It's just something I know offhanded. But something that was funny is that in the back to Star Wars, was in the Revenge of the Sith, but the PS2 one, not the Game Boy one. They actually have it, because I believe you can play as either Obi-Wan or Anakin in the final fight. And if you play as Anakin and you win, there's an alternate ending to the whole narrative. So like in the end where you're playing as Anakin and you win against Obi-Wan, you cut him in half and just kill Obi-Wan there on Mustafar, and then Palpatine comes down and he's like, "Did you kill him?" And he's like, "Yeah, and I'm gonna kill you too." And then you fucking kill Palpatine, and then Anakin just becomes like the new Dark Lord of the galaxy. Yeah, no, don't do that. No, not that one.
This wasn't the thing.
You're supposed to do it to literally anyone that wasn't me.
Anakin, opposite day, God.
Get it, blood on my cloak.
But it's just funny that they bothered to even put that as like a thing. I mean, it's just because so you just have this alternate ending where it's just like, yeah, Anakin won, just like the whole thing. Like there's no Emperor Palpatine. It's not even Darth Vader. You're Anakin because he doesn't even turn into Darth Vader because he's fine. So he just evil Anakin rules the galaxy forever.
Yeah, I mean it is Star Wars, right? So they retcon everything they ever do, anyways.
Well, just the fact it was there that they bothered and said, was just like, all right, play by books.
It is a much cooler ending.
Yeah. Well, that's that. You get an extra little thing for playing the movie game. It's like you have a what if ending, so that's fun.
I mean, Chrono Trigger does that if you fail, like if you die on the last boss fight, it shows you what happens because you didn't save everybody, and it's like, oh. This should be something that everybody does. Because, like, I understand what a game over screen is. I've seen them for many years. But it's like, sometimes you go, well, what happens if I didn't win? Like, what is Sephiroth actually doing? Like, the fact that they go back and they show you, like, oh, Anakin, blah, 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 does all this cool shit. And it's like a weird, like, multiverse spin-off lore kind of thing. And you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I appreciate that stuff, rather than it just being like, and... Like, oh.
Mm-hmm. That's something I at least say if you do something creative with your movie game.
Yeah. I forgot about those Riddick games though. Those were pretty fun, if I remember correctly. They were like first person games, and they were on 360, and I think one of them, like, you were in like a prison planet or something.
Yeah. You're basically
like,
breaking
the graphics
out.
were really good. Like it was a fun like game, honestly. And another really fun like movie game, because that kind of expands on the lore, right? Because they're doing like the in between.
Yeah, they're basically filling you in on the part that you just don't know really much about. It's like, think about whether or not what he's saying is what exactly you think possibly he means by this or that, and then it just fully just gets you to the story of exactly what people were probably asking about, like really how did he get to where he was to getting on this planet, and it kind of fills you into that point, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, was it another surprisingly good movie game for me was Von Helsing, and I'm glad to talk about it because they actually got Hugh Jackman to voice his character in the game, and it's like that's one of the selling points. Often. That's one of the selling points on the case, because I was like, are they really just using lines from the movie and just kind of like masking it in there? But it's like, no, they had him actually come read all the lines for the game. The gameplay style is Devil May Cry, which is crazy that they actually chose to do that. And so the level design is the same. Basically, they were like, just make Devil May Cry, but Von Helsing. And it has, like, it does hit kind of story beats. There's some familiarity. Like, the movie opens with Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So the game opens with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde boss fight. But, like, I was playing it and I was like, oh, this is a Souls-like. I have a dodge roll and I have melee, but I also have my range. And I was playing it and I was like, this game actually feels good to play. Like, it's very fun on PS2. Like, you lock onto an enemy, you can focus fire on him. There's like enemies that spawn in zones, like skeletons and whatever, and you can do combos, and like it feels really good. I was dying on this boss fight. I think I beat like in the video that I recorded for this, I was like, I have to beat this boss. Like, she killed me twice. This stupid vampire chick, because there's in Van Helsing the movie, there's like the 3 vampire girls. And so 2 of them are putting a shield on the one in the middle that's casting lightning everywhere, so you have to kill the 2 on the side before you can get to the one in the middle. And like, so that's a boss design that blew my mind. I was like, obviously they're teaching me the controls of the first boss fight where you're fighting Jackal. And so you're like, oh, I'm locked on, I'm rolling in. And I remember the movie, you hit the bell kind of thing, but like this was more of a endurance round. He's got a health wall, blah, blah, blah. But like I get to this boss fight and it's like, she's protected by these two on the side. Game just, oh, okay. Like I can get behind this. So like it actually killed me a couple times and it was like, oh damn, like I gotta like try, and I found myself like really kind of diving in, like I was fighting a boss in Elden Ring. I didn't want to just throw in the towel. I wanted to beat this chick. And so it's like I'm gonna like keep my distance, shoot her, roll away, watch for that attack that she does where she swoops in to grab you. And it was really surprising that like a movie, it's like literally a direct movie game who got Hugh Jackman to play his character. And they even have a really stupid mechanic where you can get attacked and your hat falls off. And you can get negative points if you finish a level without your hat. So, like, I'm in the boss fight. She hits me. My hat falls off. I'm trying to get to my hat to put it back on so that I can get the most points that I can get at the end of the level. And I was like, this is, like, it's like Van Helsing has a really good game loop and a really good game design. The level design for it is pretty damn sweet as well. Like, it's not confusing. Like, I felt like I was just playing like a video game and not a game based on a movie directly. But and you don't ever really, for the most part, you don't have that feeling with all of the older ones. It really starts to trail. But like for this to be a direct like movie game, it was like playing, I would buy this game if it wasn't a movie. It's like, it was that fun. And that's just wild.
And that Die Hard trilogy game, if I remember, had the three different stories to it. But each game that you were playing of those episodes or whatever the movies that they were like three different type of game genres. Like one was like a first person shooter, one was like a bullet storm kind of thing, or whatever, and then the other one was like a basic like driver, like a racing kind of game or whatever, which was very weird.
I'm not a fan of Die Hard 3. That's the driving one. And so for the record, the Die Hard trilogy game is definitely a lot of bang for your buck because you're getting 3 games as one purchase. And the Die Hard 3 game where you're driving a taxi around trying to defuse bombs, like that one's not really that fun. It's kind of funny because I don't know if they got Bruce Willis to actually do the voice in this, even though Bruce Willis has his own PS1 game called Apocalypse, which is fucking weird because that's not even a movie. That's not a movie. It's just a game that has Bruce Willis in it, and that's how they advertised it. And it's like, I don't care. But the taxi one has like a knockoff. Because isn't Samuel Jackson in that movie? Isn't he the guy that's like talking to him?
Can't remember.
I think hold on. Die Hard 3. I think Samuel Jackson. Yeah, it's a young Samuel Jackson. He's in that movie. So he's not obviously voicing his lines. So they have some guy who's trying to sound like Samuel Jackson. And it's very weird.
Well, the first one, you got Professor Snape. He's in the first one.
Yeah, well, the first one, Snape is the bad guy. In the first... Okay, so Die Hard 1 in the trilogy game is a game where you're going around rescuing hostages. And it's super fun. If you're an indie dev and you're listening to this, that is such a good game to replicate. Because it's very fun. The shooting is fun. You're running around a giant level. And it probably has the funniest game over screen I think I've ever seen, or level complete screen, because it'll be like, you beat the level, how many hostages did you save? And it starts at 100%, and then it goes down by the ones you missed, and it shows all the hostages bundled up, and they just start dying left and right if you didn't find them. So it's just showing people just getting killed as the percentage dropped. So it's like, you've saved 70% of the hostages, so all of these people are dead on the screen. It's like, holy shit, guys. Way to make me feel terrible.
That was your fault. It's kind of like a really violent version of like Crash Bandicoot, where he gets pummeled by boxes for all the ones that you missed.
Yeah, just falling asleep. But they're just like, well, they're screaming and they're on fire. Like they're just like, and it's just,
sorry,
oh my god,
guy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guy. I got a machine gun. In Die Hard 2, it's a weird like rail shooter. kind of like Time Crisis.
There you go. Yeah, it's a real shooter.
What is it? Not Dead or Alive. What's that game? House of the Dead.
House of the Dead.
Different from each other.
Yeah. So yeah, every game on the trilogy is like a completely different play style. But they're pretty fun. I tried. So in the video that I'll probably be using for this, like I played the first one. I played like the first 2 levels, and I was so pissed because the second level, like basically what it is you try to find the hostages until the bomb shows up. I guess here game design. So the bomb shows up, and you have to defuse it, and you have 30 seconds to find it on the map. And so I was like, oh, and on the second level at the end of the video, I got caught on a collider when I did a roll to get to the elevator, and I rolled past into like a crevice before the doors, and so it was like literally like 3, 2, 1, and then like I missed the elevator and was like, son of a bitch. And that's when I stopped recording for the first game. The second game, it's kind of interesting because like you're on a rail shooter, and again they were like, this isn't part of the movie at all, we don't care, we just want you to have fun. So you're fighting like terrorists in an airport or whatever, and depending on how good you do is the route that you take. So there are different like ways to go, which is kind of an interesting thing. But like that Die Hard trilogy game is a very strong like game on its own. If I never told you that these were movies, you would just think that you bought like a 3-pack of games. And for some reason Bruce Willis is there. But that's how I feel with Apocalypse, because it's for some reason Bruce Willis is here.
I mean, I guess to piggyback off of the sentiment of like, if you don't feel like you're playing a movie game, I mean, maybe this experience that I'm about to say is a little different, but excuse me, a little tired. I played Wanted on the Xbox 360, so it's a bit of a newer in terms of like when these movie games are in their prime. But I played Wanted on the Xbox 360, the one where the whole thing revolves around curving the bullet and being like an assassin. It's almost kind of a weird take on like a modern day Assassin's Creed almost. Like he's got this kid, and his dad was like, I could be getting this completely wrong because I only like got a synopsis of the movie. What I'm trying to say is when I played the game, I didn't know it was based on a movie at all. I just thought it was a game.
It was fun though.
And yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it was basically it's a third person shooter where you cheat because you don't actually have to shoot people. You just kept curving the bullet. Like you could stay behind cover and like just adjust like the angle of your curved bullet power until you get the shot on the dude that's in cover. So you're never really in danger. But when you shoot him with your curved bullet, like the camera will sometimes like slow down and follow the bullet as it curves and it goes into the dude. So it looks really cool. I remember I got a shot that the bullet slid between 2 really close like metal cylinders, so it actually scraped both of them, and there was like sparks and stuff. And it went through it and like headshot a dude on the other side of the room. But I never knew it was a movie. But when I was playing, and I was like, this is a really cool game. I mean, I liked it. And then I found out later it was actually based on it was a movie game. I was like, huh. Well, I guess that's just one of the decent ones, I suppose.
I don't like this anymore.
Am I playing as James McAvoy? This is very strange.
I don't know actors, so I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was like a real person. I was like, oh, it's a guy.
I don't even think he looks like the actual actor. I'm looking at like screenshots of the game. Oh well, that one does. Yeah, it does look like.
You were saying earlier about like the voice acting. It's like there's one of 2 things they do in these movie tie-in games. They either one of 3 things. One, what you just said, very, very rarely they'll actually get the actor to voice their own character. But more often than not, they're finding some just dude who does like a halfway decent impression of them. Or they just rip audio directly from the movie and it sounds awful because they're just inserting it where these voice lines would be. Yeah, it's like horribly compressed and sounds like shit. I've seen that happen more often, like way more than like 2 or 3 times. The amount of times I've seen them just rip audio and just cram it in there because it's like, fuck it, this is cheaper than hiring a voice actor.
That Wanted game looks like it suffered from like the Xbox 360 era of every game is brown.
Oh yeah, its color palette was kind of poop, but
yeah, there's just like I don't know what it was. I don't understand that era of 360. There was just like shiny. they were like, we got roughness maps. Everything is wet and everything is just brown or gold. Like,
Yeah,
Fallout was like, this is our time.
this is our time.
We
Beautiful.
can do this. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. But yeah, that Wanted game seems it's because you played Jordan. You played what was the Jason Bourne game?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That game has like it's not obviously like all these games we're talking about are not the best games in the world, so I don't have to preface that at all, even though I just like saying like that game is not the best game in the world, but they do something very well in that game, surprisingly, which is the combat.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. So it's like, yeah, you're playing as, of course, Jason Bourne, and you're running through these obstacles, and you're just fighting people, and I guess going through it. And I thought it was a part of the movie because it almost seemed like it was, because you actually go through, and I can't remember if it was the second one or third one, where the girl that you're with gets sniped by a specific, like an assassin, and that happens in this game too. So I thought it was a tie-in or basically the same thing, but it didn't look like Matt Damon, and it wasn't, it didn't say that it was part of the series or anything. So I was just like, okay. But yeah, you'd be having regular fights. You would use the specific buttons on your controller, and you would do a high punch, low kick, or whatever. And then if you were next to something, when you had like your level up bar go, it would basically be like a finish move, but you would use the whatever, like the environment as a weapon. You'd have a desk, you slam them into the desk. You have a pencil or a cup, whatever, you slam them in the face with a cup. You just do some crazy stuff that would actually be kind of cool that you're knocking them out. But the funny thing is that when you're like beating the shit out of them, like you're slamming them into things, and they keep getting up, you're like, you should be down, brother. I mean,
you're just like a random accountant. Like, why are you fighting me so hard?
Yeah, that's like you're going.
I'm trying to save the country.
Yeah,
I am the main protagonist.
Yeah, I just can't remember. It's like you're fighting like a fucking fisherman. This guy's doing capoeira. I'm like, dude, where the fuck did this come from? Like,
I was unaware that I'm not the only main character.
Yeah, throw you into a generator. I'm fucking electrocuting you, and I'm like doing all this stuff. You're just like, not yet, man. I'm still ready. I'm like, you gotta tap out, man. Lay down.
It's fucking South Park. I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah.
The anime character is like, finally, it's getting interesting after you threw him through a mountain.
Then he fucking takes the weights off his clothes, and they just crash around him into giant craters.
Like, I just slammed your head through the copy machine. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
I've been holding back all this time.
Remember you going to an
waiting
office.
for this day.
Yeah, remember you going to.
So
an
glad I
office
came to work today.
Yeah, you're like running away or shit, and then you end up. I remember there's a part where you're just like fighting I think it's like a captain or something. Like, he's just at his desk, and he just gets up. And he's like, "You shouldn't be here," and he just like takes his hat. It's like, he's wearing his nice suit uniform, but he's kicking your ass in this room. You're like, what the fuck is going on? It's like he's like trying to get me to join, and like I just said, no, it's not I'm good, man. I'll get in. He's like, no, you don't leave, and then just starts fucking rocking you. But it's just like the whole game throughout, you actually do like multiple things, like in the Die Hard trilogy, where you're doing like a beat 'em up, you're doing like a time sequence, and then you're also doing like a racing thing because you're in the game and you're racing and getting away from the cops and such, and then you're doing like I forget, like the video game Sniper, where you're actually like trying to hold your breath and you shoot and you do the gun and stuff like that. There's like different forms of types of genres within that one game, but it was like I said, it was a lot of shit going on, but at the same time, like the fighting sequencing and stuff was actually pretty well laid out.
Yeah, that Bourne game seemed like it was interesting, at least to watch. I remember like when Dakota was playing it too, because you guys, I think you guys were all playing it at the apartment or something back in the day. And then Dakota also was playing that Saw game, and I'm just like,
oh god, yeah, the Saw game. He was so into that. He was like trying to get achievements on his Xbox 360. That was the time
he was very much an achievement hunter at the time. And the Saw game, he every time a Saw movie came out, he's like, I have to go see it. And it's like, okay, fine. So he was like a diehard fan. So that's why he bought the Saw game.
Yeah,
we were watching him play it, and I'm like, I don't remember this part of the movie where you're fighting people in cloaks and goat masks, and you have to like box them in a similar like fashion of the Jason Bourne games, because it was like in between puzzles where it's like, oh no, you got to dig in your eyeball to find a key and whatever, because I'm a sociopath. But like you fight people in like pig masks and goat masks and shit like randomly in hallways, and it's just like, this didn't need to be a game, man.
Yeah.
you guys could have missed this one.
Silent Hill game.
Yeah, it's like you could have slept on this one, but okay, I guess 360 needs games.
Yeah, because he was going for anything that was basically could get you easy achievements. And I remember he even bought that one. I can't remember. It was after a movie. It was like a dragon that was like the main protagonist or something of the movie or whatever. And he went to Blockbuster at the time, and then he got that game and then tried to get all of these eggs or something like that. That was a part of it just to get him some achievement, even though the game was.
Oh, they all did the last Airbender 1,000 achievement point like in 5 minutes thing. I remember that. Yeah, he was all about that shit. And then like playing, I was just like, you could have just not played Saw, but okay.
And then you played.
He was
Rain.
complaining the entire time. Yeah, and I played Vampire Rain, which that game sucks.
No, Rain the dragon game, Rain or the.
Rain of Fire.
Rain of Fire.
Yeah. Rain of Fire is kind of fun. It's a weird like vehicle game because you're driving around like a Hummer, and like, at least the parts of it that I was playing was like it's also a game that suffers from the like everything is orange, everything is like desolate. So you get your insert movie cutscene here in the beginning, and then it's like, all right, now you're playing a game. Drive this Hummer around. Watch out for dragons. Like, okay. I remember doing that in the movie, I guess. Driving a Hummer and watching out for dragons. This is kind of fun. Because I have that on GameCube, and I also have Scorpion King, which is the lesser of the Mummy movies, but they tried to like... that game is kind of like it's like a We Have Got It War Home kind of game. Like it wasn't terrible to play, but it has like a really rough combo system, and the level design is very boxy, and it's I appreciate what they're trying to do, but it's just not as fun as it could have been. And it does the same thing where it's like, this is the first 10 minutes of the Scorpion King movie, now you can play. It's like, okay, that's where all the file size came from, is the fact that you guys were putting a giant compressed MP3 on here. Got it.
It's 5 discs long if we just put the movie on here.
Yeah, I'll just do you guys a solid and watch the second Mummy movie, I guess, or Scorpion King. I'll do that. That's fine. But Edwin, you were playing some Over the Hedge, and you have a very long video of that. So you must have been enjoying that game.
So, well, it's like a lot of the games a lot of movie games I used to play. I actually, as you guys were talking, I actually had to look up 2 games that I completely forgot that I played that were movie games. But it's like it was very long ago, so I had to look it up to like try and remember some stuff. But since you brought up Over the Hedge, I'll talk about that one first. But that one was like one of my personal favorites. Like that whole game is just entertaining on its own. It's like not really too much. It's like it for some reason, I'm not sure what the direction they like wanted to go. They kind of skip through the whole movie, and like the game starts off at the end of the movie, like the last sequence when they're all like going back to the hedge after being kidnapped. But that whole game is just like everything that happens after the movie. So it's just like the whole game is just filler of absolute just food stealing nonsense. But that whole game is really fun. It's just a lot of beat 'em up. And then throughout the entire game, you can collect hats that you can just customize your characters with. And then they just have like a lot of unlockables in like your little homestead on the inside of the hedge. And then they have like really fun mini games. So it's like I played specifically the only two that I care about in the recording, which was the golf cart bumper cars and then the RC rally one. The golf drive one is just really boring. It's just playing golf and just hitting targets. That's literally what it is. But besides that one, there was I didn't record it yet, but it was the other game that I used to play a lot as a kid was Shrek 2. But that one is also beat 'em up, but it's multiplayer because you're stuck with 4 specific characters per level. And then you just go through you pretty much play through the Shrek 2 movie, but there's like a lot of filler in between each like part of the movie. But it was really fun that I used to play with Angie when we were little. So if she hears about it and then she sees it, she'll probably want to pick up it and play it. But the other two that I had to look up because I forgot what they were the Kung Fu Panda video game and the Wall-E video game. So those were like randomly rented games when me and Andrew were like on vacation at our cousin's house. But like I picked those specifically because I didn't really have that much else to do. So it's like the Kung Fu Panda one is also a beat 'em up, but it's like in a 3D open area. It's just third person playing as Po, and then you're just beating up everyone, and then just using a lot of random like objects around the world that only show up in the movie like once and like had hardly any significance. But it's like I saw through like each part, and there's like none of this stuff, nothing at all in any of the movies was any of the stuff explained or like even presented. So it's just really weird to see these levels. Because like in like no movie was there like a temple in a fucking desert. That was the one that threw me off the most. And then fucking Oogway sounds like a movie teenager instead of an old man turtle. It was very weird. I don't know. It's like that part really threw me off. That I had to mute you guys because I could not hear, and I was trying to make sure that I hear this voice actor correctly. That he just used his plain voice and didn't even bother trying to imitate an old man. I don't know, that part was really weird. But it's just like that game is like very far from the movie and just had snippets from the movie. It was odd. But the Wall-E one, that one it's not a beat 'em up. It's because Wall-E obviously can't fight. But it's like the whole game is just a platformer puzzle. And like the only time you can actually fight is like if you have Eve with you because she has the really cool blaster arm. Kind of like
I'm sorry, you had to like go out of your way to explain that Wall-E can't fight, and so it's not a fighting game. And I just had this vision in my head. They're like, "All right, guys, we have to make a Wall-E game." It's like, what do we do? It's like God of War. And you just have Wall-E going around like horribly killing everyone on the fucking ship as he wants to get to his girlfriend.
Just rip it apart. Oh my god!
And he like snaps in her neck. Just Wall-E. He stuffs him in himself in his little trash compactor.
The execution is him stuffing heads into his compactor body and just blood spilling out.
Like the fucking Predator, just keeping track of all the spines he's collected.
I'm sorry, it's like the implication. It's like, yeah, it wasn't a fighting game because Wall-E doesn't fight people. It's like, yeah, I think we know.
In my head, he does.
Well, I mean, there are boss fights, but it's mostly like puzzle based, and like the whole game's platformer. But it's like for that one, I actually enjoyed it, even though it does get a lot of shit. But since you mentioned like imagining the game differently when you guys were talking about the Home Alone, I was literally just imagining like the Home Alone, but in Assassin's Creed 1 format, where he's just like scaling skyscrapers and everything as like a 10-year-old boy, and then collecting 500 pigeons for the old lady.
As one does.
And then you have to go out you have to stand on a gargoyle, and you'll get the map of the area, and then to get down, you have to like jump on top of a taxi.
They're like, that's not where my parents are. I'll go the other way.
Yeah,
I mean, a much better game.
It's just funny too.
Away from your parents.
I mean, Corey said it already, but it's that game just starts you like probably halfway through the movie, just when you're already in the hotel, and we just skipped the whole preamble of how you even got here.
Like, I didn't even get ice cream yet. Wasn't there a part where he eats like $5,000 worth of ice cream and watches a movie?
I want that
going
part.
Straight to the strangling.
Yeah, we're going straight to the sentient, the inanimate objects trying to kill you part of the movie.
That's the funny part. That's just like, hey, it was like, what game should we make? It was like, how about a Home Alone game? It was like, that's just like a kid running away, right? It was like, no, we'll just make supernatural obstacles and then like child abusing
gamification that doesn't make any damn sense.
There's
no direction in that game at all.
They're sitting in the fucking planning room, and one guy's up at the whiteboard. It's like, all right, guys, we decided on side-scrolling platformer. Now we need to put some enemies in this game, and it's like, so we're here to brainstorm. So anyone, throw out your ideas, and they're just like, it's like sit around, just like staring at each other for like 30, 45 minutes, an hour. They're just like not saying anything, and then the guy's just like, vacuum cleaner, and he's like, good, thank you, Ted. He just like writes that on the board. It's like, and the other guy's like, luggage? Yes, luggage. So yes, luggage is very dangerous. All right, fuck it.
Taller luggage.
Yeah,
got it. Angry old lady with an umbrella. Now we're cooking. Okay, we got a game. We got a game here. All right, what else we got? Angry maids that throw pillows.
Strangulation.
Yeah. What about a guy who kills you at the beginning of the game immediately if you don't play?
A little dark.
I like it,
but we'll run with that.
Yeah. It's a game about a child. We'll kill that kid. Jesus Christ.
That guy.
You really hit that movie, don't you?
You're fired. Fine, I'll make my own game. It's called Bully.
That should be a movie, actually.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty enjoyable. But it's weird. It's like I never seen like anything past that first level in that Home Alone game. It was like, I don't even know how it actually ends.
I don't think there is any other levels. Like when I was playing it, we were just riding like an elevator up and down.
Well, it's what I was saying earlier. It's like they just made that first fucking level like 800 years long, so you'll never go to the second level. Therefore, you don't get to see the rest of the game.
Basically, the only thing I learned in that game is that you can knee slide basically everything except for the vacuum cleaner that sucks you up and gets you stuck and you die because you're
the size of Mall of America. How the fuck do I get out of here?
Where am I staying? When is the part where I get to the end of this movie? Because goddamn, I'm just getting killed by all this aggressive bullshit. The guy his character model is too tall for me to even jump over, so I have to take damage. And then ride the elevator. I don't know anything else about that.
Ride the elevator, get off on a floor, do nothing, go back to the elevator, ride up another floor, do nothing.
The elevator doesn't even reset until you get to the back of the stupid floor it drops you on. Where you're like, why this one? They're like, I don't know. Figure it out, I guess.
Yeah. Got to make it to the penthouse one floor at a time.
It's like, couldn't I just not do this at all? That would be fun.
No. What are you, stupid?
Could I just stop playing this fucking game, please? That's all I really want to do.
You could, but you already spent your $70 on it.
You're sick. Jesus Christ, could you imagine?
The weird part is like, I liked Home Alone, the movie. I don't even think I enjoyed this game as a kid. I don't ever remember. I don't remember ever turning it on and just being like, "Fuck yeah, let's go!" Like I think I played it with Jordan just when we were little kids because we were laughing, and then we were just like, "All right, let's play a real game like Joe and Mac or something."
These games bring great joy just to laugh at. Don't get me wrong; they have entertainment value, but not because they're anything worth speaking about. They're just worth laughing at.
And then I guess like to round it out, what was the game I was playing that you saw me? Oh, Dino City.
Dino City.
Oh, that game is so dog shit.
That leads back to the fucking other thing I was saying. That was a game that like you only have 3 hearts, but everything how the enemies and platforms are designed, there's like a 99% chance you're just gonna get hit by random bullshit, and the fucking level's a million miles long, and there's like no health pickups, so you just fucking get screwed over by all that shit happening at once.
I just feel it's weird because like I had fond memories and like, oh, Dino City, like I did not purchase that game as a retro game that I wanted to bring home. That's a game that I just have always had as like from a kid to now. So I've had this game for years and I would play it and be like, I like dinosaurs. This is fun. I thought the movie was really fun. Obviously it's like a cringy ass, like people in dinosaur suits movie, but like playing it now, I'm like, God, this game is terrible. Like it bounced me into a pit. I just fell to my death. There was nothing I could do about it. Like, there's a thing I just cannot jump high enough to make this jump. It was just so many stupid deaths, and it's just like, this game is not good. I don't know who made it or why they like
why does this exist?
Yeah, just they could have said like, y'all want to make a Dino City platformer, and they could have just been like, no. That would have been the better choice.
And then they had We
They
Are
said
Back.
yes. But they had to say yes because it was more like yes because I have a mortgage.
Yeah, the guy's like, fine, I'll make
Yeah.
this fucking movie game. What is it about again? They're like, it's this movie that wasn't very popular at all, and kids love it, and it's about two dinosaurs that are kung fu fighters. I guess, like,
No idea.
Damn it.
fine.
There's that one guy in the back that has all of his fucking Dino City merch. And he's just like, yes, my dream job. Yes.
I'm so fucking excited for this. Can't wait to also make Indian in the Cupboard game movie.
I can't wait till after this to go work on Home Alone.
Yeah.
Technically,
guys, unironically, very excited about making movie game tie-ins.
I agree with you because like you were saying that it wasn't what you remembered, and that's kind of how I felt just playing the Two Towers for a little bit today. Because I'm just like, I bought it because it was $5 at my retro game store, and I was like, screw it, I can buy something that I can stomach for this episode.
I could have bought a double cheeseburger.
Yeah, I could have set that $5 bill on fire, and I probably would have had more fun. But
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah, like, well, that was fun. But I turned it on and I was like, I remember this being halfway decent because we actually had a meme, me and my friend Tim, who was with us on Resident Evil episode, because I was over at his house and he had put in the Two Towers and his CD had gotten scratched, so it got stuck at this like cutscene at Minas Tirith where it was a cutscene of the part of Gimli and Legolas like comparing like kills. So it got stuck at this part where it looped the voice lines, and it was just like, got two. And it's like, there's enough for us both, Gimli. Got two. There's enough for us both, Gimli. Got two. There's enough for us both, Gimli. And we turned that into a fucking meme. So when we like play Halo and shit, and I got like a double kill, I'd be like, got two. He's like, there's enough for us both, Udon. I can at least say we got a funny in-house meme out of that. But going back to play it myself, this game's fucking hard, dude. Because it's like I hate to say it, I really do, but it has Dark Souls mechanics. Because it's like there's no block button. There's only parry. So imagine you had to play Dark Souls, but there was no option to. You're playing Bloodborne. Yeah, you're playing Bloodborne. But you can only parry. There is no blocking. Like the feedback you get when you hit people is not good. I don't understand if I'm actually hitting, because the first you're a seal door in this battle, and that's like the tutorial. It teaches you how to like block and use your like heavy and light attack. And then the very next thing you do is Aragorn is you're at the Weathertop, where you're trying to defend Frodo in like a flashback from the Nazgul when they first find him, and you have to fight all the Nazgul on top of Weathertop, and the goddamn screen is so like the lighting is like non-existent, and of course you're fighting a bunch of dudes in pitch black cloaks at night in a shitty video game, so I can't see anything, and just the parry doesn't feel like it works at all. The hit, I don't understand when I'm actually hitting them, because like they might flinch. I don't know if they're just flinching because they like blocked and they like moved back a little bit, or I actually like did damage. I don't know. And then your torch goes out and you have to swing your torch at the fire to get even some kind of like semblance of light. It was just so aggravating. I died like 3 times right there, and I was like, hey, fuck this, I'm done. This is not as good as I remember it being. I remember the meme, that was it, and I'll hold on to the meme. That'll be my good memory from the game.
So it's a Born like the first time that we could use.
Yeah, kind of. But it was just that thing.
It's really it's really kind of sad too, because like Two Towers, that movie one is so amazing. Obviously, like you watch the 3 movies,
all 3 are amazing.
More people, more. I would say that arguably I've seen Two Towers more than I've seen Fellowship of the Ring or Return of the King. I just love Two Towers. I have the Game Boy game, and I love that game. It's a Game Boy Advance game, and it plays like Diablo, which is wild. That's the genre they chose. And you could pick like Aragorn, or you could and you unlock characters later. Like you'd be like Frodo, or you could be Gandalf, or Eowyn. And
You could
so
be
you get like they have like classes. So like you can find legendary gear, but it's like, oh, I can't use this, but like Gandalf can use it, or Eowyn can use it, or Frodo uses it. So you like hold this stuff, and then you can trade the items like with like a Game Boy Link or whatever. And so it was so like I remember playing it on vacation and on my Game Boy SP, because like SP is like the best handheld to me. It just was the one that I kind of resonated with the most, and I don't really play handhelds, but I was like, the music is, from the movie. It's, chip tunes or whatever from like on Game Boy, but like the top-down Diablo-esque style with my goblin brain that wants to find loot, like the game just completely encompasses that. And it's so wild. And they do it verbatim though. There's not a lot of game padding. Like it's literally like, we're here, now we're at Helm's Deep, we're doing the cave thing, we're at this place. But all the levels are laid out on a top-down fashion like Diablo. And they have like the crows, and if the crows see you, they summon the Nazgul, and you got to fight the Nazgul randomly throughout some levels. But you get good drops. And, any game that's like, oh, there's drops, okay, I'm in. And it's designed to be played like a bunch of times. And it's such a fun game for Game Boy Advance. And for it to be like literally just Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, like it's not a spin-off of any kind. It's literally the movie game, but on Game Boy. And I think Game Boy probably has the most like terrible library of movie games. I would say like every Disney lineup that they've ever released on Game Boy Advance is probably dog shit. But like there are diamonds in the rough, and I would say that the Two Towers game on Game Boy Advance is probably one of the best games on Game Boy Advance, oddly enough. Just because of that play style.
I mean, I could probably name a lot more, but I won't doubt you. I've never played the game, so I'll just believe you.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of good games on Game Boy Advance. It's just like, that one was very surprising. Because I remember, like, that was the first time I actually picked a movie game, because I was at Circuit City, which doesn't exist anymore. And I was in Las Vegas because my parents, they wanted to go to Vegas. This is one of the many trips I've ever taken to Nevada. And we went to Circuit City, and I got to pick a game to get on Game Boy. And I chose Lord of the Rings: Two Towers because I love the movie so much. And it turned out to be so good that me and two of my friends were actually... They also got the game so that we could trade items with each other, and we were playing that game like we were playing Diablo 2. Like it was just so involved, and and it's wild because it's like, oh, I want to play as Aragorn. Oh, I'm going to play as Gandalf. It's like, okay, cool. You find items. If you get anything for me, let me know, and then you can give me the golds, and I'll give you like whatever golds I find, because like the tier system of like green, blue, purple, legendary kind of stuff. Like they followed that same thing, and that was what our goblin brains loved at the time. And so like it's crazy that it's compacted into a Game Boy Advance game, whereas the PS2 version that you were playing just wasn't as like an enjoyable experience because it was trying to be more cinematic like the movie.
I mean, I'm sure someone likes it, and if you're good at that game, I'm sure someone can get good at it, but it just seemed like so absurdly difficult to play. I was just like, nah.
I mean, I remember playing like Fellowship of the Ring, and like that one was kind of fun. Like you fight the orc, you got the scene in the mines and whatnot, and it was kind of fun. But like Two Towers, the game, they kind of like wanted to have this level up system with combos. They do it a little bit more extensively in Return of the King for PS2, but it is kind of like limited, of course, to what they were allowed to get away with. But like when you look at the Game Boy, right, it's like this was the problem that Super Nintendo games had. They're like, well, we have a very limited like resource because we have Super Nintendo. What are we gonna do? Shitty platformer. But like these people, when they approached Lord of the Rings for Game Boy Advance, they were like, what if it was Diablo? And it worked so well. Like, they could have made it such a dog shit game, but it was just so well put together.
That's what I'm saying about just fucking... It doesn't matter if you're making a movie tie-in game. It can be a good game. You just have to give a shit.
Yeah.
You just have to try a little bit, and you can make something enjoyable, even if it's not, you're not making fucking God of War Ragnarok, but you can make something halfway decent. You can make the Sonic to the Mario, essentially, if you just try.
Yeah, for real. I mean, even John Woo had some games, or was it Chow Yun Fat? I can't remember what that game was called. I remember there was Stranglehold. Was that it? Yeah. Because there was a few of those games, and basically it was just like the pigeons or whatever, the doves. Yep. Like every time you did something cool, the doves would fly out.
Dope as shit.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is. I remember this because you do this in every movie you ever do. Yeah, basically Max Payne. Whatever Max Payne's like slow motion shooting was, that game just fully adopted. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like, I think it does kind of lend well to the pull of not every movie game is terrible, but most of them are terrible.
I come to think of it. I mean, I agree with you, but but I'm still on the stance of like they're only good in comparison to other fucking movie games. The ones that are actually good stand out.
This movie game is better than that movie game. It's like, but what about if it's compared to The Witcher 3? You're like, well,
that's what I'm saying. It's like wow, that I'm and I don't mean to like shit on you when I say this, but it's just like it's like wow, Lord of the Rings 2 Towers is so great on Game Boy. It's like, yeah, but have you tried like Metroid or something like that? Pokemon, it's Mario.
I mean, oddly enough, though, I would say that 2 Towers on Game Boy, like it could like hold its own against like some of the main like Game Boy Advance like titles because of the play style, but not the PS2 one. Like if you were to compare that one to like modern games, it's just like no. Like I understand what you're trying to do, guys, but you can sit down quietly in a corner.
Please stop.
I'm going to play. Like, to be fair, Van Helsing is a very fun game to me. I would also rather play Devil May Cry.
Right.
But because of what it is, I can really appreciate that they were like, they were trying to make a fun game with a property, that they had limitations on. And they did a good job. But I still would much rather play Devil May Cry 3. So I would play Devil May Cry 2, and that's the worst one of the trilogy on PS2. Like, honestly.
I just had a memory come back to me. I did play, I think it was just the first Matrix on the original Xbox.
Oh my god, the fucking Matrix games.
But I think the only thing I remember that made me laugh, because it was just so fucking crazy violent and they had like a weird physics engine in that game, is that like I just have this specific memory in my head of like there's an enemy at the other side of the hallway, and you had like your slow-mo meter or whatever, and I would use my slow-mo to like run on the wall and then kick him in the head, and it like carries over so much momentum that he goes flying, ragdolling through like the opposite window into the wall. And I just remember just being really satisfying just to basically slow-mo and then kick people in the head to watch them fly around and ragdoll with the physics engine. I just remember just that specifically being fun.
Yeah, those Matrix games are goofy as shit. I feel like the physics of the Matrix games in general is what makes them entertaining, because it's not like the play style. It's more or less like that you're talking about. It's like, oh, watch this dumb shit that's about to happen.
Exactly. Watch me kick this fool in the head and he flies into the next dimension.
Yeah. Because I think that was Enter the Matrix. Was that the movie or the game?
I just remember it was Matrix and it had Xbox on the logo. It was at my friend's house. Like it's just this random memory that unlocked as we were talking. I don't know detail. That's all I remember.
Because I think it was. I'm going to post it in our chat, but I think it was this one.
Let us see.
Let us see.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's I don't know what country this game. Oh, it was made from Atari. That's kind of wild.
It's rated M, or is that no? That's not our regular M.
I don't know what the
rating system is. That looks weird.
M15 plus.
Yeah,
But but that's not the ESRB. That this must be some other country's like rating system thing.
yeah, no, the game itself I think is actually rated T, but that game I don't know. This is some European.
Maybe it's like European or something.
Nonsense. Yeah. Well, that's fine. Warner Brothers wants to sell its game division anyways, so
They just want to make Suicide Squad in 800 different flavors until finally one of them works.
yeah. I told you the definition of insanity.
All shit flavor.
Yeah, it's all different flavors of poop.
This one has corn.
This one has corn. That was the anime.
Movie games aren't bad. That's the.
I just realized something. Maybe I'm crazy, and maybe it was something that was only released in Japan. But there's never been like a Miyazaki movie with a game tie-in, has there?
No, because they're not.
Well, spoiler alert: there is Miyazaki games that did make it, but they're not based on any of the movies.
Oh.
I want to say Jade Cocoon. I don't. Yeah,
I've never heard of that before.
So Jade Cocoon is a PS1 game that's a monster capture game like Pokemon. That was art style heavily.
Oh, I saw. Fucking
and Ni no Kuni.
Oh, he did. Oh, well, I guess I'm not surprised. But I do remember watching stuff about Jade Cocoon from Jaw Strife Hayes on his Jaw Strife Hayes, but on his Jaw Strife Plays channel on YouTube, he talked about Jade Empire. Not Jade Empire, Jade Cocoon.
Yeah.
I
have this game. I have yet to like kind of turn it on. I saw it on a shelf and was like, I'm going to buy this because
it looks interesting.
Style.
I mean, it's not as good as Pokemon, but it's interesting.
Yeah, and it could lend itself to the games like Pokemon, but
I guess the point I was saying is I could see a shitty platformer with My Neighbor Totoro, or fucking like a shitty platformer with Spirited Away.
There probably is one because there are games based on anime. Like I have the Inuyasha game. I have an Alita game that's Japanese. I can't play it because I need a Japanese PS1, but. There's Berserk. There's actual games based off of anime. Of course, we know this, but maybe there are Miyazaki games that we just never seen because they never came stateside. They could have been like simple as like The Wind Rises or something. Because Mononoke would lend itself heavily to like an adventure game, but you could probably make the argument that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is basically the Mononoke movie because of the themes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's just those games then.
Yeah, I'll just play those if I wanted to play like Mononoke. But to be fair, if they did make it Mononoke or Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, I would fucking buy those games in a heartbeat because they're fucking cool and I love those movies in general. But to be fair, translating an anime to a game, and maybe we'll do that later, but a direct anime game is a lot easier. And for some reason, it lends itself way better to, rather than doing like hey, you remember Toy Story? What if it was the Sega game? What if it was a shitty platformer? What if it was a shitty platformer? Yeah, that's basically every... Yeah, but what if this was a shitty platformer?
But that's what I was about to say. It's like, I don't know about talking about just anime because it just transplant shitty platformer to mediocre fighting game, and that's basically most anime games.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dragon Ball Z is like, what if we did Budokai like 1,000 times? And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll eat it up. Like, what if we did Legacy of Goku though? Like,
well, just as an example, it's fucking right now. Dragon Ball Z, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen. All their game tie-ins are just fighting games. That's it. They're all the same.
I have the shitty Naruto. I have the Bleach one on Wii. That game
Naruto,
sucked.
Fucking Bleach, like anything, just turn into a
fighting
game.
Have
all fighting games.
Zatch Bell Momoto battles. That game also is
fighting game.
Limited. Yeah, it's just a fighting game. Okay. I got Beyblade. That game's the Beyblade fucking game is very complicated because you got to build your Beyblade out. It's probably the most complicated of any of the anime fighting games because it is just tops fighting each other. But like you have to, there's so many stats. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. This is way too complex for a PS1.
I feel like that would just be build the Beyblade with stats and then just pray for RNG when you let it rip.
Basically.
Sounds like freaking Armored Core.
Yeah, basically the same. It's the same kind of shit.
I guess I just had just like movie games, I guess there are ones that break the mold, because now that I'm thinking about it, they have, I guess if you, what?
Spider-Man.
Well, I'm talking about anime games.
Okay.
Anime Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid has a shmup as their game. Don't laugh at me. It's a great anime. Go watch it. And then there was Spy X Family has like basically a micro game collection as their game. And then I just had another one in my head that was like slightly breaking the mold.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
I guess technically, yeah, but I mean, if you did Yu-Gi-Oh! And it wasn't a card game, like what the fuck are you doing?
Just play it. It's just Marvel Gambit, just drawing cards and throwing it at people like Kaiba does.
Well, I mean, it's just it's kind of stupid. No, I mean, unless you're doing fucking Jump Force and you're staring down fucking Goku, and Yugi's just like, I play Dark Magician, and Goku's like, what? And he's like, then I play Swords of Revealing Light, and then Goku's like, I'm a punch. He's like, no, you can't do that. You can't attack me for 3 turns.
Jump Force is such a weird game in general. I just can't get behind the art style of Jump Force.
It's fucking shit. Jump Force is shit.
Jump Ultimate All-Stars, though, is banger on DS. Yeah. That's probably the best one that they've done. But yeah, Jump Force.
Yeah, I wish I could read it.
Yeah, what I was going to say before Edwin distracted me with stupid anime Kaiba. What he's referencing is that in the anime, fucking Kaiba is like getting chased after by dudes with guns, and they're like point their guns at him, and then he throws 2 Yu-Gi-Oh cards at him so hard, like fucking Gambit, and it just like knocks the guns out of their hands. Just like, what the fuck?
You don't do that?
Yeah.
You don't do that?
Yeah, you don't do it. What do you do?
You don't throw cards like a man?
Because I guess, if you count visual novels, that's not a fighting game, but that's also just a step above a book, or any gacha game is basically usually a visual novel with just like light RPG mechanics. I guess there's space to talk about anime stuff when it comes to that. I just feel like most of the well-known ones are just stall fighting games. That's all it is. Anywho's it.
There's like games based off TV shows.
But those are usually like not very many, but like they're usually like lightly based off the IP, like Walking Dead or like House.
Oh my god, I forgot about this fucking Walking Dead game. God damn, what is it? The Walking Dead Survivors? Is that what it was? Well, not the one with Clementine.
Dude.
Clementine was fine. The Telltale Walking Dead game, like I like that game. I like the Telltale games in general. But there was the one spin-off that had Daryl Dixon in it. And I think it was Walking Dead Survivors. And I played that shit start to finish. And I'm like,
why?
It's because I just moved to Florida. I didn't know anybody. I had friends.
I didn't even like a valid excuse.
I wasn't even at college yet. I was just like, I just moved there.
So play something else.
Well, I was trying. I was trying to do. I made my own website that no one gave a shit about. I was reviewing games and I was playing through everything.
I was trying to play Galactic.
Well, that game didn't come out.
Look here, listen. No, you make it sound like anytime you like looked over to like, I don't know, throw in Final Fantasy, Daryl Dixon was in your house being like, you better finish that game.
I played everything start to finish when I moved there, so it was like Last of Us, Far Cry, God of War Ascension. Like I was playing every new game that came out and trying to write reviews for. I played Colonial Marines start to finish. That game fucking sucks. But I played that damn Walking Dead game, and they have some cool stuff in it. But it's not a good game. They just had a couple cool things that, like reactionary things, the way that they handled zombies. But overall, I did not really like the game in general. I would give it a 4 out of 10. Like, I think that's what I wrote on my website when I was doing all that shit. But I forgot, like, Walking Dead has so many damn spin-offs. and it's so wild to me. Like it's just literally. I think there's like 5 different Walking Dead games.
You'll have to actually pay me.
Yeah. So yeah, I played it through because it was supposed to it's expanding on Daryl and Merle's relationship and how they became who they are.
Oh, God.
And all of a sudden you're stealing a helicopter out of a stadium, and I'm just like, this dude rides a motorcycle. Like, who the fuck knows how to ride a helicopter? Like, I don't understand what was going on. But I guess I liked the Walking Dead franchise, but once they didn't kill Negan and they just allowed this shit to roll on.
That was your breaking point? Jesus.
Well, no, I mean, I originally was like, the Governor has been 3 seasons now. I don't like this. But then Negan thing happened, and then I was like, okay, I made it to season 9 or 10 or whatever. Whenever Rick leaves the show, and then I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
I fucking jumped shipped at season 2 when they were just stuck on a farm for the entire season.
Weren't you coming over to my house to watch it, or what were we watching?
I mean, I think I was watching it with you. I'm pretty sure I watched most of it when I was at your house just by happenstance. I mean, yeah, I still watched the entire show, but my actual interest was gone after season 2. The rest of it I just watched because I'm just like, what dumb shit are they going to do next?
Herschel's farm was such a bullshit long nonsense. I don't know. Either way, it was kind of neat that they had a zombie show on TV. They did have a lot of video games that came from that show. None of them are spectacular outside of the original Telltale Walking Dead.
And the thing is, even the original
1, not the extra ones after that. The first one is most impactful.
Even then, it's only impactful for your first playthrough, because once you play through it again and realize your choices really didn't fucking matter at all, it loses a lot of its magic. So your first blind playthrough of that game is the best one and the only good one you're going to have.
Yeah, and that one was based on the actual comic book and not the show. The Telltale.
Well, it took elements from the comic book, but again, it's its own thing. I mean, there's been myriads of mobile games and other fucking games coming from Walking Dead, but I feel like when they do stuff, again, the ones where they're just basing it off of the IP but doing their own thing are the ones that turn out the best, typically, not when they're ripping things directly from the show. Oh, that was the third one that came out that year, on top of Gollum and the King Kong game. They had another shitty Walking Dead game that was just about as good as those two. I forgot. That was the third one to complete the Triforce of that year.
Yeah. With our powers combined, we could get a 3 out of 10. Okay.
3-way tie for last place.
I know, that's why I'm saying we need a meme. We need a meme category, and just be like, the shittiest game of the year goes to.
We'll punish ourselves at some point, and we'll play the shittiest games. One of them will be our game of the month. We'll play the dog shit game.
All the hentai survivors on the Switch.
Yeah. They have something to look at.
I was just about to jump on that. At least there's some shitty AI generated tits to look at, I guess. I don't know.
If I have to sit down and play the fucking King Kong game all the way through, I'm just gonna lose.
You will. You're going to have to pay for the game for me and pay for my therapy afterwards.
Play for my plane ticket to come up there and kick her ass. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anywho's it.
All right. Do we got trivia?
Yes, we do. We got 3. It's trivia time. So in question 1, in Star Wars Outlaws, which character assists the protagonist, Kay Vess, as a loyal companion? Is it A, B-88, Val, Nix, or R2-D5?
Speaking of shitty games,
isn't that the new one?
Yeah, that's definitely the new one. And yes,
is that out?
No, it's not out yet. But they would very much like you to buy the game, which I will not be buying.
Oh no, I'm not either, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, it's Space Red Dead." I don't care. But
I choose B. I'll go with B. There's no way they used R2 for fucking Outlaws.
I wouldn't put it past Disney. Cheap nostalgia bait to just vaguely be close to R2D2. I'll do A to be different.
I'll go D.
The answer was Nix C.
Cool, I was that right.
Damn.
Nix C or B?
And no one will ever know that character for the rest of time.
And we spent a lot of time working on that character model.
Let me pull out my crystal ball real quick. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen when that game comes out. Hold on, let me rub it. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm getting a vision. Yeah, I'm getting images. It's gonna come out. Everyone's gonna hate it, and then everyone's gonna forget about it, and that's it.
To the dollar bin with you.
To the trash bin.
There you go at Walmart.
To the trash bin. To the trash bin. To the dump. To the dump.
In question number 2, Black Myth Wukong video game is inspired by which famous Chinese novel? Is it A, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, B, Water Margin, C, Journey to the West, or D, Dream of the Red Chamber?
C! I want to buy this game. That's so funny that you used the game I don't want, and then the second game is the one I do want.
Yes, the answer.
Outside of the fact that it's 130 gigs of digital content.
130 games.
Are they not having a physical copy?
They don't have one yet. They said there might be one later. I won't buy it if it's digital.
It's crumbling apart, dude. I'm telling you. I am so disappointed. I wanted Fate Stay Night on a fucking physical copy. Now every other game's coming out and it's digital only. I'm like, oh god,
the game happening. Itself just looks so fucking amazing. Yeah, that's the other part of it. Like, they have a collector's edition in a physical case, but the case only has the download code inside.
So
of it. So
lame.
It's like, why did you fucking even make it? I'm going to wait until I can get it on a disc. I think that there's one coming later. I'm not going to buy it this month. Obviously, the game comes out next week. But I love the way the game looks. It's not necessarily. They say it's more like God of War Ragnarok than it is like a Souls-like game. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a little different.
I'll like look at it, but I don't really care for it. But I do like seeing different iterations of how people treat Journey to the West. Obviously, I mean it's a fun legend, and Fate has messed with it a bunch, and I've seen many other media.
Yeah. I mean that's what
Journey to the West. I mean that's the
Dragon Ball Z.
It's inspiration for Dragon Ball Z.
That's what Goku is. The power pole, and Goku is the monkey, and So, anyways. Right. Nice. That's a good question. You got it all right.
All right. Question number 3. Visions of Mana marks the return of the Mana series after how many years without a new mainline title? Was it A, 10 years, B, 15 years, C, 20 years, or D, 25 years?
That's tough because
15, I'll guess.
Trials of Mana is a remake of the actual Trials of Mana on SNES, I think. So,
rephrase the question. Did you just say like from the last new entry to the series, or from the last new entry
might have been Dawn of Mana on PS2? So I would have to say 20 years.
The answer is 15 years.
Hey!
No! Is Dawn of Mana the last entry, though? Does it actually tell you?
Not that I know of.
Damn it,
look it up. You have Google, don't you?
Yeah.
Corey, Google it.
Go get it. No, we're going to find out right now. Don't end the episode. Find out right now.
Latest Mana game in the series.
I never even played one.
Echoes of Mana. Hold on a second. Echoes of Mana came out in 2022.
Was that new or was that a remake?
He said mainline game. Mainline game.
What is a mainline? So Trials of Mana is a remake. No, Echoes of Mana is a mainline game. It's not a remake of any kind. Let's see. Is this some fucking phone game? Probably a phone game, isn't it? Free-to-play action RPG.
There you go. Never mind. It's a spinoff.
Balls. So before that was Collection of Mana, which also focuses on...
it's a collection.
Rise of Mana. I don't even know what the hell that is because I've never seen that before. So yeah, 15 years does seem about right based off of this timeline that I'm looking at. Balls.
Also,
Echoes of Mana looks really cool. Oh, it's all the characters from the Mana series. That's why it looks so cool. I was like, okay, I'm going to post some.
What are you trying to say, Edwin?
Well, but before I forget, because we already did the trivia. So I should have said this afterwards. after I explain what I did for the week. But so the Kingdom Hearts mod that I played is called. It's a weird name, but the mod is called Nobody May Cry. It reminded me we started talking about Devil May Cry because that's pretty much the play on the word.
Nobody may cry. Not you, not me, no nobody.
Partially.
I like this artwork on this Echoes of Mana thing. I like his artwork. That female there looks like the fucking female trainer from Black and White 2. It looks like Rosa.
That was the same first thought that I had when I saw this.
All right then. Take us away, Jordan.
All
That's
right.
the end.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll be wrapping it up. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Twitter, and our YouTube channel to be notified of new episodes. Give us a comment to show us how we're doing. Rate us 5 stars if you enjoyed today's episode. And for all of you gamers out there, just remember to keep exploring, keep playing, and keep listening. Until next time, this is the Mediocre Rumble Brothers podcast signing off. Thanks for listening.
Just watch the movie. Just watch
the movie's usually better.
Play from the dollar bin.
Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we've mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.